Ponytails podcast. Here we go. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ponytails podcast. I'm Andres Gamboa, your host for the evening. If you guys haven't heard about us, if this is your first episode, welcome. So happy that you're here. This show is about people who sold books door to door with a company called Southwestern Advantage. Now, we're not affiliated with the company at all. We are just people, ourselves, and most of the people on our team all sold books door to door, and all our guests sold books door to door for 80 hours a week in a different part of the country during their summertime in college. Some of them earned $2. Some of them owned the company money, and some of them made like $100,000. So, we had the variety. We had the whole gambit. Some of them sold in the 60s. Some of them sold just last summer. And this is because the company's been around for like 160 years. It's the oldest internship in the United States that we know of anyway. So thank you for being here. Hopefully you guys find the stories crazy and fun. That's what we do. We just talk about what our guests are doing now, what their experience was like during this thing, some of the stories that they have, and then we close the episode with ponytails. So make sure you stick around for the whole time, because ponytails are when they go and tell the biggest, craziest stories of their experience. So a couple of announcements for you guys. Happy July. We are getting closer and closer to our Baszler trip, which is super exciting. In Baszler, we are going to be going to Cancun at the Valentine Imperial Maya, August 15th through the 19th. So that's a Monday through Friday of this next August here, like next month. So make sure you guys are excited and signed up for that. There's going to be a link below. One link is for a video that has all the details that you're going to want about this. So just click on that thing. It'll tell you everything you need to know. Or there's another link below that, which has the sign up page where you can go type in your information and get connected with someone to get you going to the trip with us. Super exciting for that. Now we're getting ready for that with Elevate Wellness, and these guys are our friends, Seth Hood and Zane Gallagher. We've been working with them since last January, really since last December, and we're trying to get fit, and it's working. It's so awesome. I am eating extremely healthy. It's so good. I feel great, and the gym is less intimidating because I know what I'm doing. I used to think I knew what I was doing, and then I got some coaching. You never know, you don't know. And the thing with these guys is they help you stay accountable. So of course, accountability is kind of the same type of accountability that you expected, the good side, the fun parts of Southwestern. And these are guys who kind of relate to you. So if you sold books, if you didn't sell books, either way, just come and join a team of people who are just super positive. They have an awesome group on Facebook that just continues to motivate each other, and just a fun environment. There are some awesome kids and adults and men, women. They have the variety. So if you are a person that just wants to get in better shape, elevate your life, elevate your body and your mind and everything else, reach out to us. We'll get you in touch with them. Love you guys at Elevate. Also, big shout out to Will Metscher. He's been coaching us. Will is, of course, if you live under a rock, you probably don't know, but if you don't live under a rock, you probably understand or are aware of Southwestern Consulting. So Will is one of their better coaches. One of the things that we loved about being in Southwestern was the ability to maybe make an impact on people positively. At least I hope I did. And hopefully that was you too. But if you had that feeling, you enjoyed leading others, you enjoyed the feeling of teaching people things that other folks were probably going to learn until their 30s or 40s or 50s, then maybe you should work with Will. That'd be a good opportunity for you. His team is cranking, and every single one of the people that he has had work with him has earned a six-figure income just helping others create a lasting impact. And so make sure you guys reach out to us. We'll get you in touch with Will to be able to find a little bit more about that career opportunity for sure. And then last but not least, I want to give a big quick shout out to Cardinal Senior Benefits. A lot of companies talk about freedom and flexibility, but at the end of the day, you can kind of be held captive by the availability of your clients, which is kind of a bummer with Cardinal because of the demographic and at the ease that you can turn your leads on and off. Agents can kind of mold their work schedule around their personal lives instead of the other way around. So they have a pretty diverse group of agents that are all dramatically different in situations as far as where they are in life. So for example, Jessica Chappell and Bridget Dugan, their moms, they're making a great living, providing for their families. Both of those ladies are able to crush it and make six-figure incomes while working 15, 25 hours a week. Then you got Pedro Vega and Quintin Roberts, who are more on the leadership side of things, kind of training and hiring new agents. And they're working about 30 to 45 hours a week, making multiple six-figure incomes. And then like Sean Brifo, Greta Huerta, they're able to change their schedule from week to week and month to month. They're single, not married yet, no kids yet. So they're taking full advantage of the freedom that they have currently with the flexibility involved in there, and they're working again 20 to 35 hours, making six figures pretty easily. So if you guys are out there listening, have thought about leaving your job, maybe looked around for other jobs, not happy with what you're making right now, or maybe just unhappy with the freedom that you have or don't have, give them a call. Or don't. They don't really give a shit. They're going to crush it with or without you, but they'd rather do it with you. So make sure, reach out. We can get you in touch with them. Now, to our guests today. So in the house, we have Harrison Knowles. I don't know Harrison at all. If you guys don't know, we don't do any pre-research. I don't do any research about our guests on purpose. The whole idea is to highlight how cool of a conversation and how cool of a connection you can make with someone just based on the shared trauma of knocking, for 80 hours a week. And so we have fun on the show. We're going to be drinking. I hope he's drinking. I have some tequila and some hum kombucha with me right now. But a little bit about Harrison. He sold 5 summers. He sold the summers of 2017 through 2021, originally with the Dynasty organization, as they like to call themselves. But last summer he was with TD. His last summer was last summer, in fact, and he went to Texas A&M, originally from Dallas, Texas, or Rowlett. I hope I said that right. I hope it's not Rowlett. It'd be weird for Rowlett. I don't know. He can tell us. Rowlett, Texas. If you want to get a hold of him, he's on Instagram. That's Harrison Knowles, like Harrison Ford, but Knowles like Beyonce. So Harrison like Ford and Knowles like Beyonce. Harrison Knowles. And you guys, his email and stuff we'll have on the air and in the links of the description below, so you can get a hold of him. His proudest moment in Southwestern is what I think is coolest is that he never lost a bet to anybody over the summers that he sold, which is pretty cool. But his proudest moment was that he hit and won pretty much every single award that you can possibly win as a person throughout your career, virtually everything. So he, because of that, was able to break the record for deliveries 3 times in a row for most tack-on units at the end of the summer. And the way that works is you go back to visit to the families that you sold to, and you add to their package. And so he has a record for breaking that, so much so that they had him rewrite the entire manual on how to deliver. And basically he wrote it word for word, and that's what they use now. So that's a pretty cool accomplishment. So without further ado, Harrison Knowles, welcome to the show, my man. How's it going?
It's going well, man. I think it's so funny that you were mentioning Jessica Chappell and Pedro Vega, because Jessica is the one that called me for my informational when I was a freshman in college. Jordan was my student leader, and Pedro Vega was one of my day 2 calls when I was getting recruited, which was ridiculous because at that point he was already retired. But in a day 2 call, I'm like 19 years old, recently 19 in college. I'm talking to this dude who went with, I don't know, I think it was Henry Bedford to France when he donated half of his art collection to the Louvre, and he's like giving away millions and millions of dollars of art.
Hundreds of millions. Yeah.
Dude, I'm just sitting on my phone, like 19 years old in college, like, wait, you did this job and you did that? Sign me up.
Yeah, dude. Pedro's the shit. Pedro's a man's man right there. That guy's a stud. It was a good conversation with him. If you guys want to check out that episode, click on the link that's going to appear right here, top corner of the screen, and go check out that. Cue that video up after you hear this conversation with Harrison Knowles. Man, you're in Salt Lake, yeah? Is that what you were saying? That's right.
Yeah, I moved out here to Salt Lake City back in October.
Hell yeah, man. How's the life up in Utah?
It's honestly, I moved here for the weather.
That's
main
nice.
reason. Grew up in Texas, sold all in the South, recruited in Louisiana and Arizona. I was done of the heat. So it's been fabulous. Like, I'm built for the cold, love the mountains.
Yeah, dude, I'm in Portland, and we were talking to some of the team this morning, and Heather Dutton was like, what's the weather right now in Portland? I'm like, it's like 72, sunny, no humidity, flowers everywhere, mountains everywhere. There's a bear catching a fish on the river right now. It's fucking awesome. it's like perfect. I heard it rains. It kind of does every once in a while. It's not that bad, but hell yeah, man. Well, cheers to you. You drinking?
Yeah, I am drinking gin and some like lemon press.
Let's fucking cheers it up.
Cheers.
Welcome to the show. All right, so talk to me. What's your life been like since last summer? When you've been out a year officially. First question, I guess, when you don't go to sales school that first time, it's odd, isn't it?
Very. Not being in the field right now, like all of my friends, all like the friends I've had for the last half a decade, they're all going and knocking on doors right now. And I don't know, you miss it, but at the same time, like you can always find the same kind of environment, but you just have to make it yourself. Like that was the one best thing about Southwestern is like the leadership was already there to like set up the environment so you could enjoy it without having to do all the work of like building it up. But you know, bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, dude. It's kind of strange because like right now, especially that first summer off, like right now it's for you, it's what, 6 o'clock? And you and it's like what are we recording in today? Wednesday? And you're like, I'm fucking off schedule.
Dude, no, I feel like that constantly. Like, especially with my new job, like I'm just like if I'm not pushing the metal, like pedal to the metal, I feel like I'm just terrible.
Yeah. Well, and it's actually interesting. So I guess now that you bring it up, what are you doing now? What how did you land where you're at now? And what does this last year look like for you?
I have a couple of things that I've been doing. So like as soon as I got off the summer, I knew it was going to be my last summer. That had already been decided in like March, right? I had been selling for 5 years all through college, but I didn't really have any sort of base. And I kept getting kind of shuffled around the different campuses. Like first I was at A&M for 2 years and I got shuffled to Louisiana because they had like all of their leaders leave. And they're like, well, you've been in OL before and like you're the most transitioning. You don't have a base really. Everybody else does. So just go over there. And then I was only there for a year. And then they shuffled me out to Arizona. And I was like, I can't like build a business. So you keep moving me.
Yeah.
I forgot what the original question was in the first place. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, bro. And so you left, and then what you say you've been working on a couple projects.
Yeah. So I decided I was going to leave. And then Mark Rao hit me up in October, about a month after I'd finished the summer. And he offered me a position with Southwestern Legacy. Right. And I was like, that sounds pretty good. But like all of my actual leaders in Southwestern are basically Cardinal. Like Sean Briefer was my student leader in my HQ my first summer. Right. I love him to death. Like his laugh will not light up a room. It'll light up the whole house. That guy is a human
Sean
rainbow.
is just, I love his episode too, by the way. You can also check that episode out up in the corner there as well. He's
You're
awesome.
saying this a lot in the conversation. I know a lot of the new people.
Well, I guess if you're listening, that way I don't have to say it again. But if there's an episode that is mentioned from a person that's already been on the show, it'll just appear. So if you see that, it's there. Just go click on that after you're done here. And that way I don't have to completely interrupt you every time.
No, you did.
So Sean Brief, all your mentors are in Cardinal.
Yeah. Everybody was doing that. Like my granddad, the guy who recruited the person that recruited me, started it. Pedro Vega. Right. And I was kind of torn because they've been trying to recruit me for a couple of years, but they're very big on the whole not pinching off book kids while they're still book kids. Because every year you really learn more in that job than you can everywhere else, especially about like the emotional maturity side of things. Like you may not know, learn how to sell $1 million project or something like that, but you're going to learn how to handle yourself a whole lot better, handle others.
Yeah.
So he offered it to me and I told him no. I turned him down flat. And I actually started my own company that I'm still kind of getting off the ground. If y'all want to check that out, it's Knowles Financial. So one of my passions ever since I was a little kid was just been numbers and like understanding it. And I love like compound interest, investing. I love the idea of like making something to where you don't have to work anymore. I grew up really poor, single mom, teacher salary, me, my twin brother, like barely scraping by, lived off of dad's Social Security. Whoa. So I always just I wanted to figure out a way to solve that problem in my life. So when I was still in college, I ended up getting my Series 65.
Nice. That's hard to get. Yeah. Yeah.
65 and 67 are different. I'm not a broker. Like I can't sell you stocks. Like, you know,
Wolf of Wall Street.
Manny Gonzalez with Southwestern Investments.
Yep.
He's a broker. Like he can sell you stocks, but it's a consulting role. So it's more like what Dave Ramsey does. You can charge people for your advice and coaching and insight in financial matters, but you're not taking, like, you're just charging a flat rate. You're not taking anything off of what they make or whatever. I really didn't like that about the brokerage business. That's why I did 65. But right now I'm trying to build an app and a platform where people can get, like, the average person can get the information they need to be secure in their retirement. Like if you do the math properly, if you really do the math properly and you understand that taxes are the biggest problem in you actually creating wealth, then anyone who's making, you know, $50,000, $60,000 a year, those like minimum wage kind of jobs, right? Not minimum wage, but like entry level, right? Like my mom was. If you do it properly and you set aside like your Roth IRA and things like that, you'll still retire a millionaire.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, people don't know.
They don't know. Nobody teaches it.
No.
Everyone's concerned about it. You hear all these scary things about the market from the media, which I personally don't like, because like that sort of panic, not only does it like cause more problems, but it stops people from even investing, which like the worst thing you can do is keep your money in the bank. You know, keeping it under the mattress is better than keeping it in the bank.
Right. Absolutely.
So I started working on that, and then it was taking a lot longer to like get an app together. I thought it'd be a whole lot easier.
No. I was going to ask you about that. So what have you found about the logistics of app building? Because it's fucking hard.
Well, I did computer science in high school, AP computer science. Like we learned how to build apps. I learned how to build, you know, like a interface, right? And I can build all of that. That wasn't the problem. The problem is if you are ideally like the most perfect app possible that I could build, it would link to all of your other accounts. So it's a dashboard for you to manage everything. You don't have to check here and check there, right? So you can see everything in your bank. You can see everything on loans that you have. You can see everything in different markets, whether it's, you know, on your Robinhood app or it's in your MetaMask or your Coinbase. Like it allows you to see it all, see a portfolio, read articles, watch videos, get coaching on, you know, best practices to set yourself up, diversify, you know, hedge your bets, but still, you know, do well. And the amount of protective coding to be able to get secure information from another app to be trusted on yours is a lot. So it's
like the most protected thing in the world. Like it's that in the Constitution.
It's not hard to get the information. That part of coding is really easy. But making the app so secure that other apps will trust you with their users' privacy.
Right.
That's the hard part. So I've been talking to a couple of my friends that I worked with at LSU who were computer science engineers. I did not study that. I just took it in high school to see, you know, how they could help me out. But in the meantime, I started working with Southwestern Legacy because Rao gave me a call back and he was really worried that they were going to lose me. So he offered me, basically we have in Southwestern Legacy, most of the company's bases in Nashville, right? But we have people that work in Las Vegas. We have people in California, Texas, Florida, Georgia. But we didn't really have anybody who had leadership experience or had sold multiple summers in the Midwest, like at all in the company. So Rao basically told me, hey, if you come work for us, then, you know, if you're doing well, I will let you dip into the book kid recruiting pool as kids are leaving. Like I'll tell you who's leaving and who you can talk to. And I was like, all right, that sounds like it could be a good deal. So I started doing that. And so that's like my job while I'm, you know, working on my other company. It's how I pay the bills, basically.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Hell yeah! So you started right away in October, or how long have you been working with that, or both the
February.
app and okay, so it's more recent. I
Well,
see.
the Knowles Financial, I like got the LLC and started working on that in October when I told him no. Was working through, and then about mid-January, Rab gave me another call, and I hadn't made a lot of headway in making it profitable, and I had put most of my summer check into
Oh wow!
investments. I wanted it out of my hands where I couldn't spend it and where, I was going to sit there for 10, 15 years, just go make me money.
Right.
Right. And so I looked at my bank account. I was like, I only have like $10,000. I should probably get another job.
Yeah, that'll run out quick. That's maybe 4 months.
5 months. Yeah.
Depending on where you're at. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. So I was like,
Yeah, dude.
it's about time.
Hell yeah. Are you putting all the eggs in the basket of like making sure that the app works out, or like if the app isn't like, or just becomes too much of an investment at this moment where you have to kind of pause it and revisit it again once there's more capital? Are you going to
I don't
pivot
even
and
think
just
it's a
start
capital
advising? Or?
problem because the thing is, I believe I watch a lot of people who are content creators, but I really like Gary Vee the most. It's really funny. When I was doing Southwestern consulting, I got like two lucky things. When I was going into my third year, Virgie Sanford, she was my DSL. I don't know how she did this, but she got to pick two kids in Dynasty to get coaching with Dave Brown for like
Nice.
6 months. And she picked me and this guy, Sergio Roman. And we were like competitive against each other too, because we were like same summer and trying to beat each other. And I'd beat him the first year, he beat me the second. So we were going after it. And we both got coached by Dave Brown, and that was really cool. But then I bought the coach in the next year, and I got this guy named Joshua Garvey. And when I
Josh
saw his last
Garvey.
name, I was like, this totally looks like Gary Vee. It's Garvey, but I thought it was Gary Vee. I was like, this is awesome. But he always says like the biggest thing is like, what value are you actually adding to people, right? And the app being perfect isn't going to be the thing that adds the most value, right? Even if you still have to go check all of your stuff every place, right? If you can, like, you enter your information in there and you still get the kind of coaching and the advice that you're looking for, that's all that really matters. Eventually we'll get the app perfect and optimized, but I'm not going to take, who it was like Jobs and Wozniak. One of them like didn't want to release it and wanted to make it perfect, and the other one was just like, just send it out, we'll update it, and they'll buy the next one. Well, like that, it works. Just get it out there, because if it's helping people, then people are going to like it. So that's like my main goal.
That's cool, man. So what do you think is the timeline for you to be fully operational and at least be ready to start advising or have you been doing that, or like what's the
Yeah,
timeline looking for
I
you
have a
to
few people
pivot?
that I advise already. I don't have like a platform that you can go to, but if there's anyone on here that you want to retire one day, or you want to be able to save up enough money to start getting those things that create passive income for you, whether it's real estate or stocks or vending machines, like I don't care. But like if you're wanting to manage your money better and you have leftover money at the end of the month and you just don't really know what to do with it, like hit me up. I will 100% give you advice. If you want actual coaching, we can work that out too. But if you have a question, like I will totally answer whatever questions you have.
Yeah, that's sweet, man. And here's the thing where people should know and why, because I was in this industry for a while too. And so one thing is part of the reason why you want Harrison would be a smart idea for you, even to just start out with, is because a lot of the times when you go to like a financial firm, again, this is not everywhere, but like the big ones that you know of, right? Generally speaking, they're like, oh, you don't have, $150,000 to roll over. I don't even have time for you. It's not worth my time to talk to you because you're not worth the commission that I could be getting, because the clients that I have lined up all have shit ton of money. There's people with money out there and they serve them only. And there's very few people really serving like the middle class. Now, if you have $100,000, Harrison is well enough equipped. Anybody with a 65
Oh,
is well enough equipped to work with Harrison. But But this is a good lesson for people out there, because there's a lot of people out there who want to start, who want to learn, but they don't trust these big corporations. And so someone like you, who's definitely equipped, is a good place for them, because it's like, you got the right intentions at heart, right? You can't sometimes always trust those big banks.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
I understand.
that's again why I went with the 65 instead of the 67. Because like what you're saying is right. Like, if you want to go to a financial investment firm, like they're pretty good. They're good at what they do. They're gonna get you a return. It's gonna be better than doing nothing with it. But they get a commission off of it, right? Like before I got my 65 and I learned how to invest myself, like had the ability to, I was using Southwestern investments, right? Now those are brokers. They're Series 67 guys. So whenever I give my broker, like say I wanted to max out my Roth IRA, like do the smart thing, I put $6,000 into it, right? I could pay the commission one of two ways. Either one, he's going to take like 0.05% of the account every year forever, right? Which doesn't sound like a lot. 0.05% is not a big
But
deal.
it is a lot.
No, yeah, that's how they trick you. Most people fall for that. It's bullshit. The second way is I could pay a 5% commission cut up front and he never touches my money. And I did that. I was like, take 5%, you're going to get like $300 off of me. But I never wanted to treat somebody like in investing like that. I don't want to make money off of taking your money. Like that's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to put your money into the market. Like that's what you want to do. So I'd rather somebody just pay me like a flat rate up front, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. Like so much more helpful.
Yeah, I understand that. Hell yeah. So if you guys are listening and you need to know how the heck do I get a hold of Harrison so I can at least learn a little bit more about what he's doing, you can email him here, Harrison G Knowles at gmail.com. That's Harrison, like Ford, Harrison, G as in Nat, and then Knowles. That's like Beyonce Knowles.
It's funny you said that. I actually was named after Harrison Ford.
Dude,
my grandma had a crush on him. We're pretty sure it was Star Wars. My mom argues it may have been Indiana Jones, but she got to name me.
That's all Gucci. I understand it and I feel it. Hell yeah. I'm a fan. My mom's a fan of Harrison Ford as well. Big fan. And then here's the Instagram IG at Harrison G Knowles right there for you guys on the screen. There you go. That's fucking awesome, dude. So cool. And happy for you that you're doing that. I feel like your heart is in the right place for this. People can trust that kind of stuff. You need to start a podcast. Hell yeah. I'm a fan of, if you can't tell, for sure.
Appreciate it, I guess.
Hell yeah. All right, brother. Well, let's move into some Southwestern stuff. I'm going to give a quick shout out to some more friends of ours here at the show. Starting out here with Southwestern Real Estate. You remember Pat Roach, right?
Yes, I met him my first summer whenever he did his balloons speech. I don't know if you got to witness that at sales school. And then I got to help him out the next 2 years. And then I was an OL, so I wasn't doing that part. But yeah, Pat's awesome. Great guy.
Yeah. If you guys are listening out there, you're a fan of the Property Brothers, HGTV, you love rebuilding, flipping houses, you like that real estate vibe. A lot of people in the country right now that way. And you sold books. God damn it, you need to reach out to us. Pat Roach is looking for you. Now, Southwestern Real Estate started about 15 years ago. They're in 14 different states now. Several, if not most, if not all. I would say most of their agents are making over 6 figures, flexibility and freedom, all that jazz. But they took all the garbage. You remember like the not cool drama that you would get in Southwestern sometimes? You know what I'm talking about? Like you'd get like that shitty. Yeah, he took all that out. So we'd like to say he's 99% drama free.
That's the exact same thing I feel with Legacy. It really is just like, since we're not constantly working with 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, like everyone's like 24 or like maybe married, way older. It's just a lot more of like a work environment instead of like, this is our life. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so much better. Yeah. Check those guys out. I know my friend Charlie Wyatt, when he sold books with us, his little like moniker was Charlie Playboy Wyatt. This is the hottest dude you've ever met. Like he is just sculpted. He's been working with Southwestern Real Estate for a couple of years. He's killing it down in Houston. I don't know if he's working alongside Mason Miller, but I think Mason Miller's Cardinal as well.
That's sweet. That's cool, man. Yeah, a couple of our so all of our sponsors and all our friends here on the show are all people who are connected to the alumni by some ways. It's kind of cool. So, but yeah, reach out to us if you guys reach out and you want to get more information on how to work with real estate. You guys get an automatic interview with Pat just by hearing about it through us. Just so you guys are aware of kind of like the difference. 95% of people who get a real estate license end up quitting a year after they do so. That's a 95% turnover rate. With real estate and Southwestern real estate, it's 95% of the people actually stay, which is kind of bananas how you can flip that on its head. So it's kind of cool. Hell yeah. Second, shout out Dillon Barr. Now you're too early or too late in the game to have met Dillon Barr, Harrison, but Dillon Barr is without question. I mean, anybody wants to fight me on this, they can hit me up. But Dillon Barr is the funniest bookman that's ever lived. By far, he's just a cool dude, and he is not working with thought leaders, so they're also looking for Southwestern alumni to come work. This is a pretty high end job, the high caliber job. So it's like you got to be pretty well cooked for this. They help people land TEDx talks, so you got to be pretty sharp because you're talking to people who are like qualified to land a TEDx talk, essentially. But there's two roles. One, in SDR role, basically they take warm leads. So no cold calling, no prospecting. You take warm leads. You're connecting with people who are calling in, and you are making sure they're qualified for the program. It's a pretty rigorous program. So it's kind of like the recruiting process. Southwestern, you got to make sure they're good enough. And then after that, they get set up with an enrollment advisor, which is the second role they have available. The enrollment advisor basically has pre-filled calendars of appointments, and they are just making sure that the person kind of meets the demands of the program. And closes them out essentially to get them registered. So SDRO is paying 50 to 75K plus, and then the enrollment advisor is paying about 150 to 200K plus. If you're on target, that means that's if you're average, that's like your 8,000 a summer for Southwestern. But if you guys want more information, Dillon Barr, you can be reached at db@thought-leader.com. Thank you for coming to my tech talk. And then one more time, I'm going to give a shout out to Cardinal. These guys are, Cardinal's getting benefits. That's like that. EnLight's later. Cardinal has been working with us for now about 2 months. Oh, shit, now is it 3 months now? But basically, they have direct mail-in leads. This is one of the biggest keys to their success. Is basically, and Harrison, you can probably relate, but all that the way it works is the people that they're calling on are all saying, yes, please come to my house. It's like, imagine if you were able to send out a survey to a town before you go sell books, and you just have all the moms who have kids who need help with homework or help saving time, or who need help with math, or who just want to get color or exploring learners. Like, they're all saying, yes, I need this in my house. Here's my address. Here's my phone number. Here's my date of birth. Here's the grades of my kids. Here's the sports they play. And then you just show up to the house. It'd be pretty easy after that. So that's exactly what they're doing, except all the information that people need for that late term life insurance, the final expense life insurance. So the prospects are pretty warm. And of course, you get a pretty good return on your investment every time. So that's kind of what you're going to be setting yourself up for. If you guys want more details on how to get hired there, let us know. They've had 4 people start with them since they started with us. So that's pretty cool. And they all heard about them through us. Hell yeah. Talk about efficiency. So now that is all our friends for now. My man, I want to hear about how the fuck you got into this crazy roller coaster of a ride. Where were we in 2017 on that fateful day?
Freshman at Texas A&M. My parents actually went to school at Texas A&M. They met there. So me and my brother were
those Aggies.
Yeah, we were raised bleeding maroon. We had a bottle opener in our house that when you pop the bottle, it would play the Aggie war hymn. Like, it was. They were very big fans of the school.
Oh, shit. They had a tattoo on each butt cheek.
Red ass.
M. Is it AM on each? Like, the ampersand was,
in the middle, yeah. So me and my brother both go to college, and what was the producer's name? Is it Amy? Is that right?
Yeah.
She can actually find a picture of this if she wants to. I was a freshman in the Corps of Cadets. So for those of you guys who don't know, it's like the whole military side of the university. I kind of stumbled into it, but I decided to go with it anyway. But what ended up happening is I got a scholarship to play in the band for Texas A&M. I loved band going through school, loved marching band, did really well at it. Our school did super competitive. But they were going to give me $3,000 a semester to march the band. And I was like, that's like everything else I needed paid for. Yes. And then they go, the only condition is you also have to be in the military part. You don't have to, commission to join the military, but you got to be in the Corps. Right. And I was a really like chubby kid. I hit puberty super late. I was like 5'7" until I was a senior in high school. I'm 6'3" now.
Shit.
If she goes into my Facebook or my mom's Facebook, which is Lou Knowles, she can find pictures of me and my twin brother. And like, we'd be 16 years old and I'd look like I was 12 and he'd look like he was 17. Like all the girls loved Preston. I was invisible.
You were painted on the wall.
Yeah. So
that's what we
I got the scholarship and I was like, all right, well, military sounds pretty cool. I'm still going to be doing college. I get to march with the band, which I thought would be like amazing to like be able to march on the field of that. Like, it's a massive stadium, dude. I marched every single home game freshman year, which is like unheard of. Like, usually you get half the games as a freshman, but I was on it. I got to march every single home game. Like, the biggest crowd we had was like 87,000 people just screaming while you're marching this. It was the coolest thing ever.
I went to UNL in Nebraska. Yeah, I'm with you. 90,000, 85,000 people. You're like, what the fuck is this? This is the craziest thing you've seen in your life.
It was insane.
It's so loud.
But I ended up getting medically discharged after the end of the first semester. So about halfway through first semester, my commander of Sea Battery, he pulled me aside and he said, "Hey, you're doing really well, and you're studying biomedical engineering." That's what I like started off in college. They're looking for another spot on the Air Force's PJ group, right? Parajumping medics is essentially that was the training that you were going to be doing. And I thought that'd be cool as shit. I'm going to learn how to jump out of a fucking plane. Like, yeah. So they had like a whole new PT. So like for the normal core, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, you're PT and you get up at 5:30 in the morning, you do your PT. Tuesday, Thursdays were more like leadership stuff and like memorizations. We had this little book, like super thin little maroon book called a Campo. And you had to memorize everything in it and be able to recite it with your group word for word in sync. Like that kind of shit. Yeah, hazing's still alive at Texas A&M. It exists a
bigger cult than Southwestern. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no. Once I was done with the core, Southwestern, it just felt like home. But I hated the memorization stuff the most. Like I was cool with PTing and everything. I just didn't like having to sit there and like getting yelled at for getting it wrong. And I'm like, why is this even important? It was like history facts, the school, dude. It was the dumbest thing to memorize ever. It did not help me in life. Has not helped me in life. No. I guess it helped making the script one easier. Once I got into Southwestern, I was like, oh, I know how to do this now. But with the parajumping medics, you would PT with them on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they would take your lead lab on Thursday. So I thought it was a good deal, right? I go into it and like normal PT, like you start off like the jog, and once everybody's moving in the line, then they like speed it up and like you get going, and we'd run maybe like 2 miles a day on top of whatever else we'd do. With the PJs, they'd say, ready, go, and then start running, and you had to keep up with them. And we go for like 5 miles on an average day, 8 miles on a long day. And I started getting really bad shin splints. Like by the time they like medically discharged me, I had about like 13 fractures in my shins on both sides, like 13 total, not 13 each side. But what they had figured out is I had a thing called hammer toe. I didn't even notice. I've got really big feet. I've size 13 feet. So I just thought we're big in general.
You could sleep standing up.
Yeah. But apparently, since I hit puberty late, it kind of like was a lot faster. You know what I mean? Like it waited, and then like just flew through it compared to everybody else who had it like a couple of years to go through it. So when I was going through my growth spurts, I didn't buy new shoes fast enough. So I wore too small shoes. And I was just like a middle school like kid whenever my feet were growing. So I wasn't paying attention to it. I was like, I'll just wear my shoes. And it like stunted my toes in the way they grew. So they were all like kind of folded up. And it didn't matter structurally bone wise. Like I wasn't having any issues. The issue was since they were like curled instead of straight, the distance that the tendons had to go was longer. And so they were really, really tight and like just were pulling the muscles off the bones. And so it was like 2 weeks before I got the call about Southwestern. They told me that I couldn't commission. Like they wouldn't take me because they didn't want to have to pay for the surgery. Got dropped from the PJs. And then I learned that my scholarship was also, even though they said that I didn't have to commission, it was contingent on my eligibility to commission. So I didn't have to do it. But if I wasn't an option, they were going to give it to somebody else who was.
So sorry.
Yeah. So I lost all that, and I was like, what am I going to do? 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in my dorm. This is the week before finals, and Jessica Chappell gives me a call. And I'm like, who is this? What's this about? And she says, it's an internship. And I was like, okay. And like, I have an option for it. And she's like, yeah, we take freshmen. I'm like, okay, cool. And then she was like, the average kid makes $8,000 over the summer. And I was like, I just stopped talking at that point. I said, where is it? When is it? Just started writing down. Like I wanted that. I was thirsty. I was hungry. I needed something else. I just lost a lot.
So you were a big old pony.
Oh yeah, no. Like, dude, my day 2 interview. So Jessica called me, but Jordan was my student leader. This was when they had Quincy already.
Right.
I don't know if y'all
Jessica
know
was. Yeah, Jessica was on the show. She told us about.
Yeah, y'all know why Quincy has his name?
No, I don't think she mentioned that.
Oh, I don't know if I should say it then, but I think it's the funniest thing ever. It's a joke that Jordan started making because that was the town that Jordan believes they conceived him in, was Quincy.
Oh, I think that might have been told.
And so he just started calling him Quincy, and it stuck.
That's hilarious. Well, there you go, Quincy. If you're listening to this,
yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Uncle Harrison just spilled the beans on where your name came from.
Dude, he's an adorable kid. 2 summers ago when I finished, my drive home was through Arkansas where they live. I got to like watch him get homeschooled, and we taught him the letter C. Adorable. Like,
yeah, that's a cool
Jordan
family.
Is definitely like Mr. Momming it up. He's doing a great job with those.
Yeah,
kids.
that's a cool fam all around.
Oh, love
all
them.
Around.
So I forgot we got off topic there.
It's all good. So you get a call from Jessica, and you were like, "I'm fucking in.
Okay,
this is $8,000. Say no more, fam. I'm not."
Yeah.
There.
So I get into the informational, and I'm so exhausted from finals week. I actually end up falling asleep for like 10 minutes of it. I don't know if he noticed, but I was definitely nodding off. But at the end, when he started asking questions, I was like giving really good answers. I mean, I just had I was the perfect candidate. I didn't have a solid GPA from college, which it would have been a lot lower, but I graduated high school with like a 4.7. I was in the Corps doing engineering basics, in the band as well. Like I was really trying to sell myself there. And in the second interview, I just straight up asked Jordan, I was like, because I'd already been on the phone with Pedro Vega and everybody. I was like, how much did you make your first summer? And he was like, well, I only had 10 weeks, but I made 10 grand. And I just said, I can do better than that. And he hired me on the spot.
Damn. Straight up putting yourself out there. That's the truth.
Yeah, dude, I wanted it. They said the average could do 8,000. And I was like, I haven't been average in my whole life. Like, let me go after it. But I was also worried that I was average because I just lost everything. So I needed something that was like it was strictly effort based. And I was like, I can do that. I was really bad at it in the beginning. We'll get into that later, but
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So what happened? So that you get hired. I mean, honestly, it sounds like you were just looking for something to like. I always ask what the main motivation was, but it sounds like the money was the original reason why it really like pulled you in. Was there anything else about it that you were like, oh, I got to do this?
I needed something. I needed a new opportunity to excel. So me and my brother, like my mom is a high school biology teacher. She's been teaching at Naaman Forest High School in Garland, Texas for the last 26 years. And she's the AP bio teacher. She teaches the college level biology. And she's even so good that she's one of the like 25 teachers in the country that gets flown out to grade the AP exams after they're taken. So like very high educational bar in our house. My brother graduated 20th. I graduated 23rd in a class of 730 kids. Like,
right, you guys are
way up there. So we get into college, and I kind of fucked myself because I took the scholarship. And I was doing all my engineering stuff, but on top of that, I had a 40-hour-a-week commitment for military and band. So I was doing a full-time job on top of school as a freshman in college.
Crazy.
And so my grades went from like a 4.7 to like a 2.7.
You crazy.
Right? So I was excelling at the core, lost that. Right? I was doing really well, got in all the special programs, killing it. I was going to try out for the marksman team the next semester because they don't let freshmen come in the fall. Like I had a whole plan, lost it all, lost the scholarship. School wasn't doing as well as my brother. Definitely like not the best kid of the family at the time. And I needed another thing to try to win at, to try to, prove myself. And it did seem like it would solve like a lot of problems, right? Lost scholarship, money would be awesome. But it also was for me, like I was really scared at the time because I felt like everything else was falling around, that I was average. And in part of the informational, Jordan was talking about like this job is just for above average people. And I just really wanted to prove to myself that that was who I was. Like that was the emotional reason. Everything else like filled out all like the needs, but like what I was actually chasing was, knowing that I could do something that not everybody could. That's what I'd always been chasing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's just feeling the feeling of no, I don't want to say eliteness because that's not really the mentality. It's just feeling the feeling of accomplishment because you did something really fucking hard, right?
I think it's more of a like and this is something that I've talked to my therapist a ton about, but I think a lot of like the motivation that's ever driven me in my life has always come from a feeling that unless you're excelling, you're not like worthy or accepted. So I think a lot of it isn't like the feeling of like excelling. It's like if I'm excelling, then there's no reason that I'm bad. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
Our family lost our dad when we were like, me and my brother were like 3, almost 4. He passed from cancer. And I think it was just like a whole stance of like, the early childhood traumas, like losing a parent, being a twin and only having one parent. So it's always just been kind of like a back of your mind, like super subconscious. You don't really know how to control it, but like sometimes you'll see yourself behaving a certain way and you're like, that actually would make a lot of sense if that were what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, that's brutal though. You're 5.
Yeah. Well, so this is some like really, I have a ton of fun facts. Honestly, as we go through this, like my life sometimes feels like a movie, not always in the best of ways, but
I understand.
there's a lot of just like random crazy things that happen. So I was born in 97, right? But I actually am a nut from 91.
Wait, how does? Oh, I see.
Do you know what in vitro fertilization is?
Yes, I understand. Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo had that done with his kid.
Yeah,
I see.
So
you were born in 97, but you were partially conceived in 91.
I was frozen in 91. Yeah. My dad
for the future, Futurama type shit.
Yeah. My dad was diagnosed with osteosarcoma about 2 years after he graduated college. And it was just completely random. It's a super rare form of bone cancer. And my parents wanted to have their kids. Like they wanted to have, their kids, you know what I mean?
Right.
So the doctor told him before he went through chemotherapy that he would want to freeze some sperm because otherwise the radiation could severely damage him and we'd come out fucked up.
Right.
So they froze some sperm.
Or with
and
superpowers.
I don't know. Trisomy 13 happens a lot with people who've gone through chemotherapy. So
that makes sense. But you never know. You know what I'm saying? That'd be,
that's true. We don't know yet. There was some like recent things I was reading that there was for a specific form of like colon cancer. They had just recently found a treatment that got 100% results.
That's
only
crazy.
For this certain type of colon cancer, but they were doing their experiments on like the lab rats or whatever kind of animals they were using, and it's the first time ever that a treatment got rid of it in all of them.
Dude, see, we're gonna get to the point where we can cure most major things. I mean, maybe not everything, but like a lot of things. And it's like holy
as
shit.
long as like the biggest thing is like your heart. My brother, he went on to get a master's in biomedical engineering. He is a cardiovascular tech, Baylor, in Oklahoma City. So he's the guy that keeps your heart running when you're getting open heart surgery. And the stuff like that's going to kill everybody. Like cancer is inevitable, but your likelihood of getting cancer is 100% based on like the health of your heart.
Yeah. Did you know I had open heart surgery?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I was 5 when I got diagnosed. I have a big ass scar down my chest.
Would you have like an open aorta or
atrial septal defect? Had a hole between the atriums of the heart. It's huge. I was like supposed to die by like 19 or some shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, dude.
Your blood flow at all, yeah.
No, like it was my right side was pumping 3 times the amount of blood or some shit. It was, I mean, I read the diagnosis and everything, all the papers that my parents had. Yeah, it's kind of wild. It's actually it's full disclosure tomorrow. So I've had like a pretty weird heart. This is the first time I make this public actually, but I had pretty weird heart palpitations over the last like 7 months. It's actually gotten better since I started with Elevate Wellness. So that's actually a shout out to them. But every once in a while, it still pops up, and it's kind of like I'll just be like laying down watching TV, and my blood pressure just jumps to like 130, like just chilling. I'm like, what the fuck? It's crazy. Anyway, this is such a tangent. We're talking about you and your dad and cancer, and it's crazy. But the point is, long story short, is trust me, I understand what you mean by like health concerns as a child and all that kind of stuff. It's nuts. So anyway, so sperm 91.
So he fought cancer for like 5 years, went into remission for a year. So he like got rid of it. 5 years of chemo, got rid of it. Then they decided to have us, right? So neither one of them had like issues, you know what I mean? They just like they had to do IVF. And they got the jackpot. They got twins.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
The Knowles can swim.
Yeah. So we were born in 97, and then 3 weeks before our birthday, 3 or 4 weeks, 3.5 maybe, before our 4th birthday, our dad passed again. And so he was healthy for like 2 years, and then the cancer came back, and he fought it for like 1.5 years, and then he passed. But it was just very like super weird. Like he never smoked, he didn't drink, like he was Boy Scout. Like he refused to marry my mom because she was smoking. He said, if you don't stop, I won't marry you. Like super Boy Scout. And he gets terminal, like super rare bone cancer. Just like boom.
Shit, dude, you never know. That's crazy. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Hey, it's been like 24 years. So, you know, you'll always miss him. But the one thing that I always feel worse for people who lose a parent when they're 10 or older, because you see, like I wasn't even 4 yet. So I grew up with a single parent, and, you know, I'll always miss having a dad, but I was lucky enough that I didn't have to miss him.
Right. I understand what you mean.
You know what I mean? I just like my dad can be anything I want him to be.
Yeah. The memories that you have are not like, you don't have that fight with your dad at 13 where you like,
yeah. Well, it also wasn't like a huge part of my life. Because imagine like you have a good dad or even just an average dad, and your dad dies when you're like 12, and like the whole world's turned upside down beforehand because puberty is a thing and middle school sucks, and then your dad's gone. Like that's way harder than like what it was for me and my brother just growing up with one parent.
Yeah, you adjust to the trauma. When I was 7, we had to
Yeah,
fucking move to the United States because we could get murdered.
I
Like that's
heard.
actually a good
Yeah,
age
no,
because it's
Danny has told
like,
me this story.
yeah. So and I've told it on the show, so I don't need to repeat it here. But long story short is like, yeah, when when you become an adult, it is still trauma that you have to deal with. And I talk to my counselor too. Just that's the kind of stuff that comes up every once in a while because it's like, oh, it's probably from seeing people explode. Like, got it. That makes sense, right? But but chapter 7 of the book, folks. And yeah, so long story short is like at the same time, your memories are still kind of like your brain is very good at guarding you. And so like even like the worst things that happen are relatively not that bad right yet. So then
Yeah. Well, actually,
you
you
just
don't
kind
have
of get
like
to
the
deal with it.
long term. You don't have the long term emotional attachment.
Yeah,
That
and and,
part of
and
your
with that
brain
comes
isn't
to
grown
like,
yet. Your prefrontal cortex is
yeah.
like literally mush until you're about 5.
But it's crazy because there's memories that you still remember. Like I vividly remember things that happened
Yes,
when I was
but and
growing up.
this is something I
It's
didn't
kind of
finish my
interesting.
engineering degree. I switched over to microeconomics and cognitive psychology. So it's like the science of your brain.
Yeah.
So
Dude.
most people have like distinct memories before the age of 5, and usually they'll come out for the first time in dreams. And then once you see it in a dream in your subconscious, it's a lot easier to access those memories. But like 90% of them, studies have shown, have all like come from some sense of physical or emotional, like high level of pain or discomfort. And because those events were so jarring to your level of what an experience in this world can be, like it's like normal life as a baby's kind of here, and this was like way up here. That's why you can like hold on to that memory, but it's the only thing that can sit in your prefrontal cortex at that stage. You don't remember everything. You don't remember
Yeah.
every week. Like
So that's why you just remember the trauma. That's exactly why, like, that's the shit that you talk to your
it's your
therapist
brain
about
trying to
when
learn
you're
lessons
30.
on how to make that not happen again.
Yeah, that's great because it's a fight or flight response. It just kind of takes over, and it's like, yo, remember this, avoid it. Like, remember what led up to it. Remember what happened. Remember how you felt after. Because in fact, we'll do it for you. We will remember for you. Trust me. And when you're 27 and you're watching a movie and an explosion happens, and you've seen explosions before, and you'll see them again, but that one particular movie, you're just like, the fuck.
What movie was it?
I think it was Transformers when I first remember. I was like, oh, I seen this. Michael Bay, fuck you. Like, what an asshole. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. That's probably not true. But I just remember just being at the movies and being like, I know. You know what it was, actually? This is fucked up. Do you remember? You know what it was? Is there was an explosion. And I was like, that's not what happens. I know what happens. What the fuck? It's not good. I should know what this is like. How do I know what this is like? God damn it. Oh man. But anyway, but I get what you're saying. I go like it goes from being like, even though it is a traumatic event, you're not old enough to understand why it's traumatic. That's
Yeah,
what the thing is, right? Because when
yeah.
you're 13, you know that people blowing up is bad. So when you see it, it's actually even crazier because you're like, that's fucked up and I know why. Right.
Yeah. That's
When
a
you're a
person.
kid, yeah. When you're a kid, you're like, that doesn't seem right. And
Exactly.
that's all you think of it.
Yeah.
Until because you haven't learned, right? That's how you learn. And so
That's how
then
we
later
learn.
on,
Yeah.
that's what pops up later because then you see it again and you're like, oh, I remember this, and now I know why that wasn't right. That's not good. And then you freak out. You have that experience again later. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So do you experience that or not? Not much. Like, have you,
I
like, for
mean,
example, Dad's Week? What was Dad's Week like? To get back to Southwestern, like in relation, like,
oh,
was Dad's Week a freaking brutal situation for you?
no, my mom didn't like take care of herself really well in light of
Mm.
everything that was going on. Like she, very conservative woman, grew up on a farm. Parents were both worked for what's it called? It's an engineering firm. It's huge. It's not IBM. It's General Motors. Like both of them worked for
Yes.
General Motors. My mom's dad, my grandpa, he was um, an aircraft engineer in the Navy during Vietnam War. Like there were some like hardened, very conservative people, right? So the idea of like seeing like therapists or like anything for like, because like I cannot imagine it from my mom's perspective. I mean, like, look, you like meet somebody, you fall in love, you marry them, 2 years later they're diagnosed with terminal cancer, they beat it, you have kids with them, and then they die. Like that must have been terrible. And she just like she tried to do her best at being a mom, but she didn't like take care of herself first.
Yeah.
So when it came to Father's Day, you know, we always said this growing up, is like our mom was both our mom and our dad. Like she did her best to fill both roles, right?
Yeah,
She'd be our mom and like, you know, coddle us a little bit, but then she'd give us noogies and like Indian burns and like
yeah, trying to be a dad.
Yeah, which, like she'd try to toughen us up.
And listen, we should say this just because of the fucking sign of the times. We're not saying that that a woman can't be a dad. We're not saying that like, because you know we're just gonna get shit from, well, now my mom is my dad. I know, we understand, right? But this is back in the fucking 90s where this wasn't the way that it was now, right? So like it's hard. It's fucking hard when because what happens is your parents don't know whether you're a mom or a dad. You don't know. They don't know what they're doing. Think about it, if you had kids right now.
Yeah, no, I would have no fucking clue what I'm doing.
I don't have kids. This is like anybody who's had kids and us, like it just happens. Like I think to myself, it's a weird time when you're as old as your dad was when he had you.
Yeah, dude. I have first thing I did once I like realized what age he got diagnosed. I got a $1 million life insurance policy on myself.
Yeah, dude, you have to, because especially because it's cheap for you. But besides the fact that because you understand you could die.
I don't know, and we don't know why he got it. It could be something genetic. You know, I could already technically have it, and it's just waiting to play out. So
God forbid, or whatever.
You know, but like, I mean, God has his plans. He has his path. If that's how I'm supposed to go, that's how I'm supposed to go. But I'm gonna definitely like try to protect my own.
Yeah. But your mom, you know, we understand. I understand anyway. If people listening, they can judge if they want to, but I understand what you mean. But your mom tried her best because you fucking don't know, man.
Yeah,
you know, my parents had something similar, but instead of losing their spouse, they lost their culture, right? So, like, how do you raise a kid to be a U.S. citizen when you don't even fucking know? Like, you're 34, you know, what I was 30 or whatever, but your entire life, you've lived in as a different culture, and it's like you moving now and be like, all right, teach your kids to be Russian. Like, fuck, I don't know. Like, how do I even begin? You know, and I'm learning with them, and so that you lose that when your parents lose something, you realize early on in your life that you're like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and you understand, and you forgive, and you just roll with it, and you kind of grow up with it too. But I feel like that's what you're talking about, is that's what happened with your mom. It's like,
yeah, you just have to grow up quick, you know, and it can happen for, like, honestly, I'd say more people than not had to grow up quicker than they probably should have. Like, if we did a survey of the entire population of the world, you know, I'm going to say like probably 55-60% had to grow up faster than like
everyone outside of the US and Europe.
And Europe, yeah. Like Sweden kids are fine. They're doing great.
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah. Oh shit, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. So Dad's Week was, and for people that don't know, Dad's Week is you pick a week throughout the middle of your summers, usually week 5 or 6 out of the 12, and you dedicate it to your dad because, you know, you meet a lot of dads that you're out there. And I was going to ask you this. It's like, so if you have your best week during that week, you get a commemorative thing for your dad, and it's recognized publicly in front of a bunch of people. It's pretty awesome. So it's like an emotional day, emotional week, really. And you always cry. And then it's Mom's Week the next week. So it's like, let's see if you love your mom more.
Yeah, I would send stuff to both of them. I think like my last 2 summers, I would put my mom's mom for Dad's Week.
That's cool.
She's my mama. She her husband, my mom's dad, passed away about 2 years after my dad did, and so she moved from East Texas, where she was staying, to in the same neighborhood as us. We didn't like see her often, but she was always there if we needed her.
Right.
Like she was like the backup parent.
Yeah, so you for sure have to like give her a shout, for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And of course, your mom had a rough time. She lost her dad and your dad at the same fucking, like, within 2 years.
Within 2 years, and like
that's not that long ago. 2 years. COVID was in the middle. We were already past George Floyd. That's how long back-to-back deaths, like, heavy on your mom. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Your poor mama. Damn.
Well, I always tell her, you know, you should probably start going to therapy. I started in like November, and it's helped a lot. to know that I'm not crazy, that's really the helpful part. I don't know about you, but like being able to tell somebody and them not judge it all and be like, no, that makes sense. All right, cool.
Yeah, and it's just nice to because sometimes you can't tell everybody that you know what you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like you're gonna judge me. Like I'm gonna have to see you. In fact, this is about you. so like you go talk to somebody about it because it's like, and there's still such a stigma on this, and it's stupid. Because dude, why would you not? Why would you not take care of your brain, knowing what we know now with the internet out there? Like you should do it. God damn it.
Yeah.
Like, go talk to someone.
I did. I got signed up with Cerebral.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it was like super easy. My therapist ended up going private, so I'm trying to re-sign up with her because I absolutely loved her, dude. I got paired so perfectly. Get this. So my therapist went through a very similar experience that my family did, but she was the mom in the situation.
Holy.
She married this guy, had 3 kids with him, and he killed himself. And so she had to do the whole single mom thing, 3 kids, traumatic experience, different way, but we could relate like from the bat. I was like, okay, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it was awesome. It was fantastic. So
it's kind of like when you talk to someone about Southwestern and they talk about something hard and you're like, I fucking know what you mean.
Yeah.
But a much bigger scale because it's a much more emotional thing. It's losing your dad is harder than selling books. You know what I mean? It has to be. I mean, at least books was not the hardest thing I've done. The hardest thing I've ever done is write this, and then the second thing is living this, and then selling books. I would say it's probably right. Like,
yeah. I mean, like selling books is never going to be as hard as life is in general.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
if
not.
It is, you're not living right, dude. What the fuck are you doing? Like, the hardest thing you ever did was sell books. Really?
No.
Like anybody says, I'm like, really?
I think that, like, at least for me, because I'm 24, right? And I sold books from 19 to 23, right? Okay. So 5 of the, like, more than a fifth of my life at this point, I was in Southwestern doing all the shit that Southwestern brings. And I don't think it's the hardest, like, Southwestern definitely can't be the hardest thing that I've experienced in my life because I've had a really hard life. And most people have, like, it's not even going to compare. But Southwestern is also a little bit different because we are intentionally going out there to get tormented. We're saying yes.
Right. It's the first hard thing that you choose to do is really what it is, relatively. For most of us anyway.
It's choosing the shit. Yeah, you're choosing to eat shit.
So that's why it's hard. It's hard in a new way. Like, I chose this for me. Like, and even people are like, no, I did sports. It was hard. No, it's not like that.
Mm-mm.
It's not like that because you had your coach and your teammates. This is fucking raw. Like, you're going out there to get shredded apart.
Shit stops with you. Like, during the day, at least, you are the problem solver. There's no one helping. You can call as much as you want. They can't do anything. They're not there.
Yeah, and it's not. This should be clarified for people listening who don't understand, or just so we can because it's funny because people I'll make this public. I was on Reddit because I was trying to find other people to interview because we have a ton of guests, but every once in a while it's fun to find like some crazy person. And we found one on Reddit, some person called Southwestern _ADV, so advantage, right? ADV. And this person had a whole post about how people shouldn't go sell books. And I'm like, I would love to have that person on here because that's a cool experience. It looked like, what happened to you? They said they sold 20,000 units, or they, said they sold 4,000 units to me, $20,000 or some whatever money, and all this stuff about the experience, and then like why people shouldn't do it, including all the bad PR, the schedule, the fact that it's a cult, all this shit. And I'm like, I want to have that person on here because what do you know? Like,
because you just want to know, like, where is this actually coming from? Like,
because again, the podcast is not designed to shit on Southwestern or to love on Southwestern. We're just here talking about people's experiences. But nobody who's had a really, really bad experience has want to come on the air. So it's like, I don't know. So anyway, I invited this person and I was like, hey, listen, I have a podcast. It's called Ponytails. Feel free to check it out. But I would love to tell your story on the show. And they replied, your podcast is a circle jerk. I was like,
see,
what?
This has been
like, I don't want it to be. I want you to come and talk about it.
Yeah. Like we opening the conversation, like you want an actual dialogue. And that's one of the things that I really just based on my own experience, and we'll get into the stories later, but I would challenge any of your viewers, anyone, to come up with an amount of things that have gone wrong in a summer, more so than like what I had my rookie summer, and like be like, I had a bad summer, because I still had like an amazing experience with it. And I don't think anybody's ever actually gone through like that many
summer.
bad things at the same time. It's a fucking clown festival, dude. Like I said earlier, life
Right,
is
well,
a movie.
let's get into it. So
Do you want the
get out there.
ponytail now?
No, I mean the ponytail's for the end, but
That's
I want to
the
know
end, yeah.
like, okay, so what are some of the other stories happening? Because you said a bunch of shit happened to you, or is that all part of the ponytail?
I can tell a couple things that like aren't part of the ponytail, but the ponytail itself is really just going to be like my first summer.
Okay, and just so you guys know, ponytail will be at the end. But all right, tell us a couple stories. We'll finish going through your summers, and then we'll get into that thing because I fucking want to know.
Yeah, it's really good. But I really think it's about attitude. Like 100%, whether something is good or bad is like your chosen attitude about it. Because, you know, you can say anything is bad. And if you can like say enough bad things about it, like you could say drinking is bad. You can say enough bad things about it and it's going to be bad. You can say literally anything you make your mind up to be bad. There's an argument against it. I think eating meat is bad. Like,
Right.
I think you shouldn't eat vegetables. Like, it doesn't matter. You can come up with reasons against it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think everything is 100% like based on the perspective. Because like we had to do COVID-19 sales. Yeah. That was insane. That was ridiculous. It was my third summer. So I was going in, no, it was my fourth summer. It was my fourth year. I'd already full-timed. I'd already been in OL. So this is going to be my first time like experienced OL. And in January after GRS, they moved me from Texas A&M to LSU. The year before, LSU had like 5 or 6 experienced recruiters, a DSL, and like 10 rookies. But the head of LSU got fired in the middle of that summer. And the
this person's name, or campus, is that a story for another time?
Huh?
Do we know this person's name, or is that a story for another time?
I know this person's name, but it's a story for another time because it's not my story. I wasn't there. I don't know the whole thing.
Okay.
I know parts of it, but like I was not involved in this. I just got sent in afterwards.
I honor that. Got it. So A&M gets fired and you move over.
No, the whole fucking campus fucking retires, dude. It's all gone. LSU becomes a graveyard. There is one kid, and it's a rookie, and he sold half a summer because he's also in the fucking Coast Guard.
Oh, nice.
So we had training. So I get moved over. You know, this is gonna be my second year full timing, but I get moved over to a campus with a 6-week rookie. He didn't do bad for 6 weeks, not at all, but like 6-week rookie. And me, and that's like all the campus is. And then 3 months into it, the whole fucking thing gets shut down. And Mardi Gras, which is fucking 100 miles away, is the breeding ground of COVID. Just the whole thing's a shit show. And the apartment that we were staying in, fucking the repair guy wasn't able to like fix things. And before the summer started, the water line fucking broke, and it was like sulfur water. Like everything was a shit show. It was disgusting. And then we had to figure out not only how to recruit virtually, which shout out to Southwestern Consulting, Joshua Garvey, you are the only reason why I had anyone, let alone my best team that summer. If you find yourself in a position where you can't get out of something, you don't know how to get through it, like those guys will find a way. They've been doing it for their entire careers. Even though COVID started, came out with like a 5-man team. Hadn't done that before.
Hell yeah.
Then we did virtual sales. I don't know if you've had stories about this. So we had to pick Airbnbs, like put everybody
a couple, but share. Go ahead and share. Yeah.
Okay. So like instead of knocking on doors, we're basically calling our friends and family to get leads to talk to people who might be interested in buying the books. And we're selling over Zoom. And not only are all the rookies, all the student leaders are rookies too. We have no idea what we're doing. right? I've been top experience for years already. I already published in Southwestern. I got to virtual sales, and I didn't know my ass from my elbow. It was stupid.
Brand new.
But
You're back
we
to being a
figured out
rookie.
the Airbnbs, and I wanted to make it like a nice environment for our kids. So with one of the Airbnbs, I made sure there was a pool, right? So we get to like the Sunday, and we're all gonna like have a barbecue and hang out, right? And everyone says they can swim. The only reason I got a pool is because all of our recruits said they can swim. And there was this one guy I recruited who's from Louisiana, but he's going to school up in Alabama. But I got him off of LinkedIn because he's from the hometown. He was going to be there over the summer. So I recruit him. And by the way, I'm actually back in College Station checking on my team there when I'm recruiting this guy from way off. Get him on the team. He lies about being able to swim. So we have a kid almost, not even close to almost. I was like a lifeguard, but he thought he almost drowned during virtual sales. It was the funniest thing. And then we had our co-OL, one of his rookies was like the closest one to this guy in the pool, and our co-OL blamed it on this other rookie. I was like, bro, no, like you can't do that. Like it turned into like the biggest shit show.
My God, dude, that's just you haven't even got to the check. You haven't got to sales school yet.
We haven't even got to sales school. No, this is like the week of like trying to figure things out. We get to sales school, the whole org gets recombobulated. We like get split and like make two other orgs bigger. But it was still a good summer. That was the summer of Oklahoma. And Oklahoma was crazy, man. I got to tour like 5 different pot farms just because they were locally owned. I'd knock on their door and they got fucking just weed. Just acres and acres of it. I'm sitting there.
That's new. That's new. Nobody, 160 years of history. Not many book people can talk about that.
Oh my God. So I got a sale in a dispensary that summer. I got a sale in a dispensary. 100%.
That's got to be a first.
Yeah, for any book kid. There's probably a picture, if Amy can find it in my Facebook, with a customer, and then on the back it's a pot chart. Like it explains all the different types of weed and like what they look like and everything.
Amy's connection went bad, so I can find it here. I got your Facebook pulled up.
Okay, so the story here. This was the first year that they started really pushing us to learn how to do referrals. This was 2020.
Okay, what year? Okay.
And it probably would have been, that was like I started in Tulsa and that was in Oklahoma City. So that's probably more around late June, early July.
I'll find it.
So this is Oklahoma, right? And sometimes they have those houses that are like shop houses. Like it looks like a shop, but it's an actual house on the inside. So I'm pulling up to this house. I knock, nobody answers. And there's like a lot of trees out on the property kind of separating things out. But there's kind of this gap of trees. And then farther back, there's like a little shack kind of thing, like very small, kind of worn down house. And a metalworking shop, mid-size. Not even close to the size of this place, though. I think they're all the same property. And while I'm knocking on the door waiting for somebody to answer, this guy comes up on one of those like 4x4s, like the street legal ones, just comes up around the hill, goes all the way down to the top. And so I'm thinking, oh shit, that's the owner. Because like, isn't that what you think? And be like, I'm not gonna waste my time at the door. Let me go talk to this dude. So I leave my car at this shop house, right? Turns out they are not the same property at all. So I'm leaving my car at somebody else's house when I go back to talk to these guys. I walk over there. And then the guy who was on the 4x4 wasn't even the owner. The other guy that was there was the owner. He was just a buddy visiting. I was like, this is like so weird. I'm getting like pointed every direction here. But they're drinking beers and they're starting to talk. And there's some like those good old boys. If you remember them, like if they're not interested at all, they'll kick you out. But if they are interested, they're going to give you as much shit as they possibly can to see if you'll take it. And like,
100%.
And like be chill. And if you will, you'll get their business. But if
that's the kind of stuff that only people who sold books understands.
Oh yeah, dude, just good old boys, just ragging me, just every which way, making fun of my socks, my shorts, the fact my shirt had Bookman on it, like just teasing the crap out of me. he's got this metalworking shop, and I start looking at everything in there, and he's like, this is like really cool. And then I saw that he had these like metal pot leaves. Wait a second, I actually got one from him at the end of the summer.
You got a photo. My man.
So I saw these, and I was like, "The hell is this?" It's like completely sheet metal, right?
See. That's
And
crazy.
he apparently owned one of the dispensaries in the town. And so I get an order from him, 0 down, handshake deal. I just told him, I was like, straight up, I was like, look, if I buy these, it's coming out of my account. So if I bring it back here, you're going to have the money, right? And he was like, yep. And I was like, will you shake my hand on it? Because if you get them to shake your hand, they'll be a man of their word, right? So I got him to shake. And then I asked for referrals. And he refers me to his girlfriend who has, and he bought a my set for his grandkids. But he's got a young girlfriend who's got like middle school, late elementary school kids, and she's working at the dispensary he owns right then. And he was like, yeah, she'll be there till 7. Just go right on in. I'm like, is she going to have time? Like, she's working, right? And he's like, nah, just go on in. And he's like 3 or 4 beers deep, him and his buddy. So like, he's like saying it really confidently. And I'm kind of sitting there like, yeah, but that doesn't sound like a good idea.
No way, dude.
It's like 5 o'clock. It's like gravy, right? But I get back to my car. I see that it's like 7 minutes away. And it's kind of in the direction of where I was going anyway. I was like, yeah, fuck it. Like, why not? Go try it out. Pull up to the dispensary, and I go inside, and there's like 4 people in there. There's the lady, only woman. She's working the register. So I'm like, all right, cool. You're the girlfriend, right? And then there's like a bodyguard and 2 customers. And she's doing like the best weed sales pitch I've ever heard. She's like asking him questions and figuring out exactly what he wants and like describing how each one feels. And like,
the cycle of sales.
But this is an option. Like, she's killing it. She's running that shit. And I'm just sitting there kind of looking around. I got my backpack on. I'm just trying not to like, cause a commotion while I'm waiting for them to leave. She gets done with them. I go up to talk to her, and I'm like, hey, Billy sent me. And she's like, oh, okay, so do you have that like half pound of blah, blah, blah? And I was like, I don't think that I am who you think I am. She thought I was like a weed delivery man. He's like, oh, okay. I kind of explain what I'm doing. I show her the picture, like me and Bobby. I'm like, I'm just showing some stuff for school. I go through the presentation. I'm getting to the demo. Like right as she's into it. I'm showing her the books. Billy and his buddy come walking in, and they had definitely not slowed down drinking. they
continued.
Rowdy.
They continued.
Yeah, and the stands were 2 different vibes. Like she was like, the kind of skeptical, but very like into her kid's mom, right? So it was very like calm, and she was doing most of the talking, but in more like an asking questions way. Whereas with them, they were just kind of like shooting the shit. And they came in with that same energy. And I just like, he walks up and he starts giving me crap. And then he asks, he's like, so you like them? And I kind of looked at him and like thinking in the side of my head, I was like, we're not at that part yet. Like, give me 2 minutes.
You're ruining my cycle of sales, bro.
Well, yeah, like he was just, he was putting more pressure on her than I was. And I was like, I don't like that. Like, this is supposed to be your decision. And she's like, yeah, I like them. And so he ends up just like opening the register right there, pulls a $100 bill out and says, combine the orders and like put hers on mine. And then he gave me $100 and some pre-rolls. And I took that picture with the pot in the background. I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Okay, hang on. I'm looking for it. I got it right here. I mean, I got your page pulled up in the middle of June. I want to see this. I need to see this. This is you right here. Here we go. And share screen. Boom.
They were a construction family. They were pretty cool.
So, so this is like July 1st.
Yeah. Oh, that was the cutest kid ever.
If you guys are listening in, I have a screen shared. If you guys go to Spotify or to YouTube, we're an hour and 24 minutes in. You can check out what's going on the screen. Yeah, I don't know which direction to head here.
I'm trying to find their face.
You got so many families, bro.
Yeah, dude, everybody was getting them. Okay, that was still when I was up in Tulsa. That so it's going to be after
later
that.
than this. Okay.
Yeah, I moved down. Okay, so the one with the 4-wheeler, that's when I was new in that town. So I think it's around there. It's probably going to be a little bit higher up than there. That was a really cool family. That other one with this guy, they reached out to me on Facebook. That was the first time I ever had that in my whole career. She
That's
asked me to come
wild.
to her boutique. Yeah, it was cool.
Can you explain to that someone in the 70s? Like, listen,
Right?
people are going to call you through the internet.
Yeah.
Come to their house.
No. They were really awesome.
This just shows for people who don't understand how often it is that you're only talking to moms. Like,
yeah.
It's like
they were really cool. They were cool.
Dude, all these families, when you meet them, you just like go back and like, wow, these people were fucking cool. I haven't done this with any of my Facebook.
Oh, go back. That was the principal. This guy was so funny. He asked one more. He asked how many books they should buy for like the whole school. I was like, I don't know. Is it one more? It was just an old dude in a blue door. This guy is the principal. That was the first time I ever had that too. It was crazy. So I think it's right after this, right after him. It was in that same kind of week. Everyone was getting them. It was weird.
Oh, we're up here. You were dishing them out. All right, here's the dude. Here's the principal. I'm looking for the background here. Yeah. Dude, this is so cool. I definitely recommend people tune in. And I know it's kind of dead air, but honestly, it's so cool to see all these different pictures of these families that you got happening here. It's kind of cool.
I'll scroll down just a little bit. I don't know if I saw the weed picture, but I saw the picture of the guy there. This guy with the. This
is the guy. Oh, there he is. That's Oklahoma faux show. And then where did you go to? So the dispensary was after?
It was right after. Honestly, I may not have posted to Facebook because I didn't want that on my Facebook and like have all the moms freak out.
Yeah,
I may have just left it, but if I find it in my iPad, I'll send it to you. And then
this is the man right here.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Damn.
Yeah, give me one of these. It's pretty dope. It's a nice throwing star. Also works with a screwdriver if you don't have one.
That's epic, dude.
Yeah, golden name.
Selling books in a dispensary. Can you, as a Colombian?
I never expected it. I was almost certain I was going to get a no, like pretty sure. But I was kind of just like, let's see what it has in store. It was working out so far, just kind of going with what people were throwing me.
They had weed in store.
Yeah,
literally, it's a store for weed.
Yeah, they have weed in store. Yeah, it was really fun. I got a tour of this one farm, and this guy was really cool. He had been like a grower for the last 2 decades, but he was working in places like Jamaica, Hawaii, South America, Canada, like places where it was like legal already. And then as soon as they legalized in Oklahoma, they already had all the paperwork filled out, ready to go. They had their own farm.
Is this real? Did I hear about this? How weed got passed in Oklahoma was okay. I'm going to research this, but tell me if you know this is true or not. Or that basically it was a whole different bill, but like they snuck in that weed would be legal inside the big ass packet that was the bill, and then so people voted on it. Like super conservative people voted on it, and then it passed.
What I know is the loophole that like this is all people were telling me about, because if you go to Oklahoma, right, weed is only medicinally legal, only medicinally legal. But every 2 miles on the highway, there's a billboard that says getyourgreencard.com. So
it's only medicinal, but you can get a medicinal
from anywhere.
Very. You can get it easier than you can get COVID.
One of my rookies that year had a client who managed 3 of the biggest pot shops in Tulsa. And when we were driving back from Nashville to go back to college, we hung out with her one more time, and Miles and her had become like really good friends. And she gave us 100 1-gram pre-rolls for $100 from a medicinal store.
That's crazy.
Dude, it was ridiculous. $1 a gram already rolled up.
Can
What?
you imagine? Can you imagine like telling this to like if people listening to this who sold like weed was still very illegal? That's gotta be a trip to hear about? Like holy shit,
But I had never
crazy.
experienced anything like it until that summer. But that summer, like my first summer was South Carolina, then Eastern Tennessee, and then Virginia. That was my first year OLing. That was fucking hot. Oh my god, I got
Yeah,
so sunburned. Not
fucking
fun.
white people.
I never did like a beach day ever again in my entire career. I skip them.
Oh, you
Um,
got off schedule, went to the beach?
no, beach day for like a Sunday meeting. Dude,
Oh,
I
I see
peeled
what you're
for 2
saying.
weeks. I had to carry my book bag around like it was a suitcase because I couldn't put it on my shoulder. I felt like such a dweeb. Like, here's my book bag.
Oh, I think you went to the beach on the middle of the day. I was like, that's a beach there right there. You can now schedule.
I was only off
Let's go to the beach.
schedule during Renegades. I've only ever been off schedule in that last stretch where it is just pretty much for the most part, it's just experienced dealers, and we're just trying to round out our summers because we don't have college.
Right. Yeah.
So
I know what you mean.
I would very rarely work the full 80 hours. I probably maybe put more in like 70, but I get more sleep because I was getting prepped for deliveries. I wanted to be, healthy and well rested because that's where
Yeah.
I flourished was
Yeah.
delivering.
Tell me about here. Yeah. Tell me about that your delivery, the way that you delivered. And then
Okay.
we'll go into ponytails because I'm dying to hear the story. And then we
Yeah.
can wrap up
Okay. So
because those are two major things I feel like that I have yet to hear from you. Although we've talked about some crazy shit already, but yeah, dude. So just again for people that didn't maybe hear the intro, they skip past it or they skip to this point. Tell us again what happens. You set the record for deliveries. Walk us through that and that whole process, what you did, and then then we'll go to ponytails.
okay. So like the biggest way to put this in perspective is like it started my first summer. So anyone who's still selling books and you're getting your kids prepped for deliveries in a couple of weeks and you're listening to this, like you really have to beat it into their head that this last week will make or break your summer. They did such a good job with like explaining how the numbers worked and everything. So going into the end of my first summer, I had written up maybe like 1,600, 1,700, something like that. And they said, if you do really well in deliveries, you'd probably deliver like 8,000 or not 8,000. You'd probably deliver like 2,000 units. If you did really
Right.
bad, it could go down to 1,300, right? And I kind of looked at the difference, and if I did 1,300 units and if I did 2,000 units, I was like, I really want to do it that way. So I read everything in that manual. I did it all by the book. I like had it memorized. I literally brought every single product into every single house, all of it, every house. I don't care if they spent $100 with me or they spent $1,000 with me. I'm bringing everything in. I literally had this one family that first summer, and this started building my conviction in deliveries. I grew up very poor, like very poor. So much so that like it was hard to buy shoes fast enough when I was going through that stretch that it fucked my feet up. Like it was $60 was a lot to us growing up for a new pair of shoes. So my money conviction when I sat down with people was that, a core four is a lot of money, I didn't think that these are like, actual people, actual jobs. Like they're making big bucks. That's why my unit package size was 7. So I sold this one like double income, like engineering family, a mindset, right? And they had like a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old or something like that. When I delivered, I brought all the books in. He got the whole library. He got the core 4. He got all the Bibles. And instead of that sale being like $150 transaction, it racked up to $1,800. And he asked me before I left, he's like, why the hell did they send you so many books? And I said, because they knew you'd like them.
Boom.
So
That's Steve or whatever his name
I
was.
didn't do like a really good job selling, but I understood the idea of an upsell. The idea of an upsell is like you're there, school's closer than ever. That maybe school's already started and you know more of what you need. I'll show you how to use it right here, and I'm gonna knock like 10% off of it. Right. And so I like wrote up like 1,700 units, but I ended up delivering 2,400 because I had like over 500 units in tack-ons and like maybe 200 units in week business come through.
Whoa.
Right. And that was first summer. Second summer, I wrote up like 3,000. It took me 9 days to deliver because I've never sold books out of my car. I've always delivered everything. Always. Unless they wanted it in the middle of the summer, then I have it drop ship. But I never had books on me. I just didn't like that. Like I got so comfortable closing after 2 summers, the way I close. And like I understood growing up the way I did that I needed time to break up the balance, that it made the most sense to me. I had the most conviction when I would say it that way. Plus, I don't need them over the summer. You're just going to forget how to use them, and then I won't be there. So I'm going to bring them and I'll teach kids. And Mom's got super happy about that. Nice. It took me 9 days to deliver. Did, I think, 900 in tack-ons. So I went from 500 to 900. The next year was the first year I broke the record. It took me about 2 weeks to deliver. Did 1,700 in tack-ons.
That's crazy. That's your entire first summer.
That was my third. And then
I'm just saying, like your entire first summer in tack-ons alone in the last week of that summer. Like, for people who don't understand, it's like Girl Scout cookies where you're selling all day or in all summer and people taking orders. And then at the end of the summer, you come back with the actual books. You don't actually sell anymore. Well, I guess you do, but most people don't actually sell. They just go deliver the books like the cookie dough. But this is like a Girl Scout or whatever they do with like a cookie dough person going, here, you bought the chocolate chips, but we also have oatmeal raisin and we have M&M and we have macadamia nut and we have fudge. And then they go, yeah, we'll take all 5. That's what you were doing essentially.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then I got really good at like building these massive packages. Like I could get in and out of a house without having to show all the different parts because I sold them on what they wanted the most. And then I knew when I come back to deliver, I'd show them everything else and they'd pick up what they wanted. And it was just like taking that extra time to make sure I sat down with everybody that I delivered to.
So a question follow up. This is great for any industry. I mean, this is applicable for, other industries have the same thing, especially if you're selling solar or life insurance. Like this is a good mentality to have where what other products can we push here that are beneficial still, right? Still helpful. You're going to mean that, right? But I guess that makes sense because they're buyers. It's like, we kind of talked about this at the very beginning with the leads with Cardinal, where it's like, these are all people who like are interested. How do you know they're interested? Because they already bought. They already like
said yes to you.
Yeah. So you know where they live. Oh, these people care about education.
Yeah. Imagine if like instead of doing 30 demos in a day, you sat down with 25 buyers in a day. How much business do you think you're going to drum up?
Yeah. You know, it can work. I mean, yeah.
If you can hit 100 units selling, then in tack-ons, you should be hitting 200 or 300 because you're doubling and tripling the number of buyers you sit down with in a day. So you don't have to look for them.
Unless they bought the whole thing or whatever.
No, because that's where you go to referrals. Or if they have a lot of money, you can pull up Peter Petcock and say, all right, well, we have some extras. Are there any, like, do y'all have a church that you'd like to donate a kid set to? Do y'all have any families in need in your school or your community that you think would also benefit from these? Our company is doing a discount once they're charitable donations. They're like 20% off. So you lose half your commission, but you just drop a bag on top of a bag.
Dude, that's wild.
You just got to ask. Dude, people good people want to help people. Like money's not like if you meet a good person who has money doesn't matter to them. And if they think it's good for them, they think it's good for other people. There's somebody else that's on their heart.
Yeah, that's nothing for them. That's nothing.
It doesn't matter. That's
the
max you're going to sell somebody with books is like
that's like $13 for a normal person.
That's it.
Like that's like $13 for a normal person. Like they'll be like, okay, make it $26. Like to your net worth of $100,000.
Exactly.
That's the ratio. It's like, I don't give a shit. That's sure. Okay. So 1,700, sorry. So continue. So 1,700 that third summer, you have 2 more summers and you kept growing.
And I think the reason why 1,700 was like really big that third summer is because that third summer, my second summer, I sold 46 and then I sold 45. Funny enough, I made more money because you know how you put down there $8 per unit. So like when I first started, it was like $550 and then like $580. And then we got a huge raise my third summer. It went to like 650. Like we were trying to catch up with the Europeans. And I was like, I sold 100 less units, but I made like $6,000 more. I was like, I don't even care. I'm happy.
That's awesome.
The next year was the one after I wrote the manual. And actually, I want to thank VDisain for having me write that, because it made me figure out and do more research on like why it was working the way it was working and what actually like could be used to like crystallize it and smooth it out. So that next summer I had less customers, but I tacked on like 1,900, something like that. And that's where I started completing sets. So I already had confidence to drop like Super Sixes after my third summer. And like everyone was getting a full set of something, you know, I wasn't really selling one book or two book anymore unless they were really poor. But whenever I was tacking on, I was just like, you can get it all. Like I was really open about that. So I hit 1,900. And then this last summer, only reason I got the Mort Club award was because of deliveries. 2 back-to-back weeks over Mort deliveries in just tack-ons and new business. And then it took me like 6 days after that, but I broke it up because I had a VIP trip in the middle of it with TD down in Jacksonville, which was a blast. I had like 6 more days to finish out, so I ended up tacking on like 2,500 units.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and 2,500 is like...
That's a lot. That's $16,000.
Yeah. Yeah, just extra down with people.
No, that's more than that. That's $18,000. That's crazy.
You want to hear something even insane, like more insane? After I wrote the manual, this was my third summer. I had a day of deliveries before we did delivery school. I had to do it. So you know how like delivery school's on Sunday. So I sold up to Friday, and then Saturday I delivered to get, 25 or 30 out of the way. Then we did delivery school. I had made a joke very early in the morning, Saturday morning, when I was delivering books to this one mom. She was like, is there anything else? And I was like, well, you want to add a tip? And she said, sure, and handed me $40. And
you got tipped? You fucking asshole.
No. Not you. You don't even want to know how much of an asshole I am. You're about to figure it out. Not only that, I thought it was such a funny joke. I did it throughout the rest of the day. It was awkward at times. I had some moms. I was like, yeah, you want to like give me a tip? They'd be like, don't have kids until you can afford them. I'm like, that's a good tip still.
Good call. I'm no closer to that thanks to you.
Yeah. I got like almost $150 that first day.
No way.
And I'm serious. It was crazy. And I was asking super nonchalant. I was like, they're like, is there anything else or anything like that? I was like, no, I mean, if you want to add a tip to help me on my drive back to Texas. And I was in Virginia this summer. So like, if you want to add a tip to help you on my drive back to Texas, like super appreciated. If not, don't worry. And people would ask me, well, how much? I'm like, I'm not going to decide that for you. Like, that's 100% on you. If you feel like I've helped you out and you want to throw me some cash, great. If not at all, don't feel bad.
I'm out. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I did my job. You could tip me if you want to. And then I made it a competition in our org. So I had bought a hotel suite for checkout already. And there was 2 beds in it, two king beds. So there's 3 other spots. And I said, all right, I have a spot in this room and there's 3 other spots available. Whoever can get the largest single amount in a tip from a customer, whoever can get the most customers to tip, and whoever has the highest amount of tips total. Yeah. Right. That summer, competing alongside all like the rookies and everything, I got about $1,400 in tips in deliveries.
That's fucking awesome. But to be honest with you, and this is where it's real. Like in case there's customers listening, they're like, "This fucking asshole took advantage of me." No, he didn't. Let me tell you something right now. And this is the truth.
You didn't have to tip me if you wanted to.
Yeah, and also this is the truth. This is the truth right now. Despite making all that money for what you do for work, you don't get paid shit. And it's hard to say because you get paid more than most other jobs that you can do as a college kid. So I'm not dogging them on that. It's a lot of money still.
Oh, well, the thing is like there are plenty of
it's people... not shit. It ain't shit, dude. You could go to sell in Legacy. You can make so much more money for one fucking sale.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
If you work
average sale in Legacy is making me like $1,000. Average sale in my book career made me like $100 maybe.
There's fucking people. I don't know what legacy, but I know Cardinal, and we were just talking about that. They're making 12 to 15,000 working 25 hours a week. You don't get paid shit in Southwestern relatively to the amount of
Not
fucking
even
work that
close.
you do.
Well,
Not even close.
it's 100%. It's two things. It's the ticket of the item. Average life insurance ticket industry wide is like a little bit under $1,000 annualized premium. Average book field, like if you go rookie average 10 units, it's
Right.
$80. $80 right there, right?
Right.
Commission. Whereas with like Cardinal or Legacy, you get like 100-something% commission.
Yeah, it's
and,
crazy.
And it's $1,000. So like average, you're taking home $1,000 per sale versus $80 as a rookie. And like if
it's crazy.
you're like dropping the bag, you're still only like you sell $1,000, you're still only taking 400 home.
It's the same thing in solar, which by the way we are with Julio Hernandez and Nick Taverdi. They work in solar, and they're crazy. If you guys are looking for a job, that's actually where you go check out solar.
Is Nick working with
EnLight?
Matt Ross's like best friend?
No, that was Ovanova and Jake Swenson. Is that or I can't think. I'm blanking on it. But you can go check out Lester's episode up there.
Lester Crafton, dude. I got
to
spend my 24th birthday with him.
He's awesome.
Dude, did he tell the WWE story?
I believe so.
Yeah. If he didn't, you got to get him and Matt Ross on the line at the same time to tell the story. It was the funniest thing. I have never heard
Matt
Ross than that. That was fantastic. We were in Rockville for my birthday this last year. It was just a blast.
Dude, what's crazy is like the point is like if you go to these industries and you work as much as a book person does, you would fucking make $1 million. Like it'd be crazy. So anyway, again, that's not to shit on anybody.
Well, the point of Southwestern,
but the best part
about good. What it is like none of us are qualified to do anything. And I have hired people in Legacy that have done Southwestern, and I've hired people into Legacy that have never sold books. Do you know who quits? People who didn't sell books.
That's right.
They can't. They like don't have that switch in their mind of I can do anything I put my mind to. They just give up on themselves, like so simply. Like they're just like, I don't know. But if you've done Southwestern Advantage, like I think I would never do Southwestern Advantage again in my career, but I would always have done it in the first place.
Yeah,
that's the best 5 years I've ever spent doing it.
Oh yeah. That's what's funny. Like that guy or the person that messaged me on Reddit. It's like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, you learned. So if you made 20 grand a summer, you learned a lot of stuff that you
figured it out, dude.
I promise you're using it now, even if you don't want to. Like you're like it just sticks with you. You can't like get rid of that. You learn
a choice of two positives in a buying atmosphere at least.
Yeah, you never not use that never in your life. You're a fucking asshole. If you're lying. But you're talking about the Ric Flair story, right? Huh? You're talking about the Ric Flair story with Lester?
Yeah.
Yes, he did say that. He did talk about that.
I love that story, man. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then they were like, they had the article going on in the college, and they were like, "Do you know who that was?" I was like, "That was us, man."
Yeah, it's pretty legit. Okay, so then you get asked to write this manual. So give me like a clean if actually this is a good question. Now that you have gone to a next industry and you're selling insurance, you're still in sales, but you're doing something else. What is your now? Because deliveries is really just closing, right? It's like it's advanced closing in a way. You already closed, you already collected the cash, but like what this would be is upselling, right? So this is like Harrison Knowles, who set the record for one of the oldest reg selling companies in the world, about how to upsell. Give me your like top 5 tips on upselling that you can now transfer to a different industry or any industry for that matter that you learned throughout the time. So here's Harrison Knowles talking about the 5 tips of upselling in any industry.
Yeah. So I'm going to just, I am still working on figuring out how to transition what I learned and developed in product sales into service sales. I do insurance sales now. And technically it's a product, but I believe being an underwriter in insurance is way more of a service than a product. I'm not handing you something. I don't have all these options you can look at. I am helping you figure out what's going to be the best fit, and that's the best fit, and that's what we're going with, right? So there's a couple of things that like you can upsell, like, identity theft protection or like whole life kids policies, things like that. But for it to make the most sense, I'm going to explain to you what they're now teaching at Southwestern when it comes to deliveries. And then you need to figure out how to make it work in your industry. That's
Fair
your
enough.
job.
Fair enough.
So the first thing whenever you're doing an upsell is you don't want to think of your prospects or your customers as like customers. After I kind of figured this out, we started calling them clients, because the difference between a customer and a client is a customer bought something. A client is somebody that you are building a relationship with, and you are now their guy or their girl to fix whatever problem you've already fixed. Yeah, like you don't want to just be somebody's financial investor one time, right? You want to manage that person for forever. So you need to deal with everything you do in business, not about trying to close a sale, but like building a relationship where you can actually care about this person, and where you've placed yourself as somebody who is honest and has information and knowledge on what we're talking about. Like that's the real job of a true salesperson, is to keep people informed and safe and help them make the best decision for themselves. If you're willing to be honest with people, whether they're going to like the news or not, and you genuinely take an interest in helping them with what they're asking for, like they're only asking for help because they can't do it themselves, right? So if you can be somebody they can trust in the first place, you have good rapport, you're not being sleazy, you explain everything, there's 100% candor in your first interaction, that will set the foundation for future business. If you don't do that, it really doesn't matter how well you do the rest of it. It's not going to work as well. You want them to know your name when you come back. You want them to be excited. The next thing you want to do is you have to show them everything that's an option when you come back. Okay? Because it's VDisain put it this way. So who doesn't like to shop? Right? Right? Everyone likes to shop. Girls absolutely love to shop. Right? And if they find a dress that they love, and you're the person behind the register, and you just go, hey, I don't know if you saw these, but like we've got some like boots and a belt that match that dress, right? What's the customer probably going to do?
Look at
them. No way. Why didn't you show me that in the first place? Yeah. Right? So you're not upselling isn't selling. Upselling is show and tell. You're just showing off everything else, telling them about it. Just let them know what it is. And hey, this is an option. You can get it before I go. Right? Before I go, you can always get this. Right.
Or in that case, worst case scenario is they don't get it that day, or like, middle case scenario, they don't get it that day, but then they're always thinking, oh, there's a belt that matches. Actually, I do need that belt. I found shoes at this other store, and they come back and get the belt. So
yeah, and that comes back to the first part, just like being a place of information for them, because nobody else is going to tell them about it. Like if you're working in industry, insurance industry, solar industry, anything, are those subjects that the mass public is well informed on and educated on?
No.
No one knows anything. Like people don't even know the difference between term and whole life insurance. You'll ask them what they have, they're like, I don't know. Like no one knows. Your job is just to let them know what's going on so they can pick for themselves. The next thing you want to do is you always have to have that buying atmosphere, right? I always like to say, and this is something I did really well with books. That's not necessarily a translatable thing, but if you're selling products, if you're a Girl Scout, like use this. So say they bought, $500 worth of product, right? And I come back and I've got the other $1,500 that's available, right? Whenever I'm sitting down with them, the first thing I'm gonna do is be like, all right, cool. I'm gonna show you what y'all got and how it works. But just so you know, we've got all this other stuff that we just have extra inventory on. We're doing an end of summer back to school sale. Everything in here is like 20% off. What we'll do is I'll show you all yours and how they work. And then I'll quickly walk you through everything else, and we'll make 3 piles. If you think it's like the coolest thing ever and you want it, we'll put it right here. If you think it's like kind of cool, could be useful, we'll put it right here. And if you don't like it at all, don't think you'd help the family, we're just gonna put it right back in the bucket. Right? So I let them sort everything out, right? Now, I've always loved numbers. So once I have basically these 2 piles of needs and wants, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what price I can give them all together so that it's a discount. But I'm going to tell them this is called batching. So if you ever bought like a watch online, like it's a $45 watch, and you're like, I don't know. But then they go, hey, you can get that same watch and this wallet and this phone, this wallet and this like pop socket for free, right? Buy the watch, get these two free, but the watch is now $55.
Yes.
It's a much better deal in your head, right? Like I'm getting all free for this.
There's a book called, what's a book? There's a book on this exact. Oh my gosh, Alicia Huck mentioned it to me. Absolutely. This is why, like, when you go, same thing as when you go to Starbucks, the small is like $4.50, the medium is like $4.75, and then the grande or the large one is like, $5.10. It's only like 50 cents between the small and the large, right? So you just go, I'm already spending $4.75. It's a fucking quarter. Sure, here's $5.10, right? But really, it's like the markup is really on the small cup, because that's what the actual relatively solid competitive price is for the large. And so it's like this idea of like, we do this too with our website, full disclosure, right? With people who want to be members of our show, that you can register at different levels, but you got to keep those prices closer, because that's like your solid profitable point where it's not too much, but it's still good value, but you're still making some money on it, right? And that's the price you're trying to get it to. So that all the crappy shit is, built up. That's brilliant, dude. This is gold. This is gold.
I would basically figure out, say they bought 500 already paid in full. They need like 300 more and they want like another 400, right? And this is the hardest situation, when the wants outweigh the needs, right? When the needs are more than the wants, it's easy to throw the wants in with them. You're like, come on, right? So I would just be like, all right, so y'all already have that already paid for. If you want these guys, what I'll actually do is, if you want these guys, I'm going to give it to you for like whatever the full price would be, right? I'm going to give it to you for the 300. But if you want both of them, I'll give it all to you for 500, like 450.
Sure.
Right. And I would just unload just all these units, and I would try to like keep my profit margin still pretty good. I never lost money on books, which, if you're not good with numbers, really use a calculator. I used a calculator my first 2 summers when I was doing that shit. But once I figured out the prices in my head and I could like add them quickly, I've been doing it for enough years. It was really easy to like just spit back numbers to people. But you'd be surprised. Like one of my biggest tack-ons this summer, and Trey Campbell's going to hate me for this, but I did this family a service. This one family, divorced couple, actually ended up meeting both parents throughout the summer, which is really cool. They're still in the same town. Dad worked oil rig, all cash job. I don't even think he had a bank account. Meet him first day, first week, sell him on my set, no money down. He wanted the whole library, but I wouldn't take that big of an order, no money down. There was like a rookie following me, and I didn't want to teach him that shit. Right. Normally, I probably would have, because he seemed like an honest man. But I set him up for that, and then when I'm delivering, I show him everything. And he goes from that one, like those 2 books, right, to getting the whole kids' library, the entire 6 set, all the Bibles, the atlas, and the cookbook. Only thing he didn't get was the CEA. He got all of it, had 0 money down, and then he didn't have a card for the log on. So I used the donate a log code to get him lifetime access, but I charged him $300 cash for it. So I turned a $30 profit order into basically the full bag, plus the entire commission of the CEA on just straight up like in my pocket.
Right. Genius.
Yeah. You just got to, it like, I didn't do any of it. It's, if you're showing them it all, you bucket it all together. Like they want it. They're just let them shop.
Why was Trey Campbell mad at you for that family? Did the mom buy the same thing?
He would probably be mad because I used the donation code and profited from it. Not the donation code in general. I've actually probably donated more websites to families in need than any dealer that I know of. They gave out that they started that promo whenever we lost our sponsorship with the tuition group or whatever. You know, they were getting like that tuition money for private universities. So that ended. And then we started doing the donate a log to a family in need. And they didn't really advertise it after that summer that they started it, but I knew about it, and I always logged people on. I just really love the passive income from it. So yeah, I've donated maybe like 50, 75 logons to families who like couldn't afford stuff, like were into it. I just gave them the code. I was like, use it.
That's several $1,000s. That's pretty solid. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Okay, so let's recap. The first thing is you don't see them as customers, but you see them as clients. Number two, you show everything you have available and create. And then number three is the process which you create the 3 different piles. Is there anything else that happens next? We got 2 more tips. If you can think of 2 more. And then you said the buying atmosphere. So that was 4.
Atmosphere.
And for people who are watching that don't understand what a buying atmosphere means, it means that you have to have a genuine, and the keyword here is genuine a buying atmosphere by letting people say no. So with something along the lines of like, hey, I'm going to show you. If you don't like it, literally tell me no. Like that section where you're like, I'll put them back in the pile. When you say that, you can't not mean that, because then they can see the money signs in your eyes, and people feel the vibe. And they don't,
things like that.
Bullshit. So you got to genuinely mean that. And if they say no, you're like, fuck it, I don't care, because you already got a sale anyway. So that's what buying atmosphere means.
And that's the best part about upselling is like you can have the most genuine buying atmosphere ever, because they already know you. You're having fun with them. Like you've already established a client here. So now all you're doing is being a friend that's helpful. Like, I think that it's just, you're going to have so much more success in upselling than you are in selling, simply because you already have that relationship with them. That's why referrals close 60 times faster than cold calls. Like all of business is relationships. It's how much do people trust you, and do they want it? And like, you know, or do they know that you care about them? I'd say the only thing after that is knowing how to break down, because you don't want to be scared about not showing everything. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that Southwestern rookies make. At like, how many rookies, or even book guys in general, do you know who carried the bag into every house during deliveries? Do you know how much that thing weighs? It's like 110 pounds. I threw out my back my first summer. Sean Grifo had to like fix it for me. It was the second day I threw my back out, and I didn't have to tell him where it was. He could see where my muscle was like just fucked. But actually showing everybody everything is like the most important thing, because you don't know what they want or would need. And then you don't want to feel bad about like them racking up a huge bill, because if they want it, they're going to get it. The money doesn't matter. And if they don't want something, like if they don't take your bundle together, then it's okay for them to pick exactly what they want. Like, don't be afraid to back down from it. Don't be afraid to like hit them with the big one, because even if they say no to that, what's the likelihood of them getting exactly what they want?
Right.
They're still going to get it if they want it.
Right.
We don't decide that.
Yeah.
But you really
and again, if your buying atmosphere is good enough, then it doesn't matter what you show. Because if you're genuine about them saying no to you, then it's okay if they say no to everything.
Dude, I've had moms, I pull out the Bibles and they look at me like I'm like the devil. They're like, no. I just put them back. I was like, no, okay, cool.
And then actually, so that was actually tip number 4. And then tip number 5, I know what I want to ask you about to follow up. So because we promised 5, and here's the 5th. Earlier you said, okay, what if you already sold them everything? How do you tack on? And you mentioned referrals. So what did you learn about referrals and how to get them and to work them properly?
Yeah. So I don't remember what book this was. It may have been How to Win Friends and Influence People. It may have been Think and Grow Rich, like just one of the classics. But I know that there's a line in there where it says, you know, people believe about 10% of what you say. They'll believe 50% of what their friends and family say, and they'll believe 100% of what they say. Right? Nice. So as a salesperson, the most powerful, like pound for pound, no matter what industry you're in, pound for pound, the most powerful tool you have at securing business is referrals. Because say I get something from you, Andres, like if I buy something from you and I think you're awesome and I love the product and everything, and somebody asks me a question about it, what am I going to say? I'm going to say great things about you. What's the biggest blockade for somebody doing business with somebody? They don't trust you. They don't trust you. If people believe 10% of what you say, but 50% of what their friends say, and one of their friends gives you a voucher, you know how many people do business with you just because you know their friend?
Right.
Like, it's ridiculous. So if somebody likes it all, especially so I had this one family this last summer. This happened. This is the kind of thing that'll happen if you do this properly. Sat down with this one mom. Would never have been able to sit down with her unless I had sold half the teachers in her kids' grades because they were very well off. And dad was not about it. But I caught mom at home while he was still working. And she was already sold before he walked in the door. But I was talking to her about all the teachers in their grade. And I had sat down with one of the other teachers, one of her kids' teachers from the previous year earlier in the summer. And she asked if she got anything. And I was honest. And I said, no. She liked them before. She bought these before and she wanted them, but her husband said it wasn't really in the budget. You know what she did? She bought her a whole set. She bought the whole set again and had me deliver it to the teacher with a note.
That's crazy cool.
From her kids and the family. Hope y'all enjoy.
That's so cool.
It's just running into those people. That will happen in any industry. People that are providers and caretakers in their communities and have the ability to do it. If they believe in it and there's somebody else who can't necessarily get it, they will do it. They really do care.
That's awesome, bro. That has been 5 tips on how to upsell, ladies and gentlemen, with Harrison Knowles, the record setter for 3 times in a row at Southwestern Advantage. Crazy awesome. Good stuff, dude.
I hope someone breaks the record soon.
That'd be sweet. Then we'll delete this episode.
Oh, 100%. You got to throw it in the trash.
Oh, shit. All right, man. Well, let's go into some ponytails. How about that?
Okay. This story is going to take probably a whole hour. It's very long. There are a ton of twists and turns.
It'll take a minute. All right. Well, then let me shout out some of our friends then, and then we can close with this. So I mentioned a Cardinal. Make sure you guys reach out to us if you want to work more with them. They are changing the world. Pretty cool. EnLight.Energy is that. Make sure you go to talk to EnLight.Energy as well. So Cardinal Senior Benefits. Really quick, one more shout out. Thank you guys for giving us some recognition. 4 of their new agents have come through our podcast, which is pretty cool. They heard about it through us. Thanks guys for letting us know. Again, if you guys are looking for something to do, good cultural aspects, amazing team to work with. Really, Pedro Vega, Jessica Chappell, right? Quintin Roberts, just really cool humans. 12 to 15K per week is what they're earning on average, about 35 hours a week of work. So get a hold of us, get you in touch with them for sure. And then last but not least, VDisain. So our friends over VDisain are the people that got our website out. And so you guys can, if you have a small business and you want to have a website that does more than just be looking pretty, it actually looks pretty, but then at the same time has a bunch of integrations so you can funnel your clients and use a lot of SEO and have a way to market correctly on your website, get them to the right places and direct your traffic professionally. VDisain is the way to go. These guys are out of Estonia, so instead of spending $500 million on a website, you can just spend a fraction of that. So that way you can get started with your website integrated fully, and of course have it be at a very, very fair price. So these guys are in Estonia. They've worked with us. Obviously, both guys, super cool. So, all right, my man. I'm ready. Am I ready for this?
Hold on. Yeah. So it was my first summer.
You keep chatting. I'm gonna pop off screen for a second. You keep chatting. I'll still be able to hear you. I gotta go. But I'm gonna mute myself, so I'll pop off for a second.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll still be able to hear you. No worries.
All right. So it was my first summer, and my first summer was really cool because I actually got to compete against my twin brother. So I got recruited in December, and then Jordan did the parent visit in January, February, and ended up recruiting my twin. And that kind of lit a fire under my ass because, everyone else, I didn't know them, didn't know their background. They could be better than me, worse than me. I had no way to compare. but I'd known my brother my whole life, and we had always been competitive at things, like back and forth. There was nothing that we would push each other to be the best at things. And so when we got into the summer, that ended up being like a huge thing for me, and definitely one of the reasons like it kept me in the summer. So my first summer, Jordan Chappell was my student leader, and kind of the situation there. He had a wife and a kid back home already, and Jessica was pregnant again, and she was due in like June with their second baby, who's adorable, by the way. And so we already knew that my student leader, and he was also the OL, he was going to be leaving the summer early and being gone for a couple of weeks to help out with, the first few weeks of having the baby, and then he'd come back to finish the summer. So my HQ was him, me, this guy named Travis Jeffries, who's another rookie, and this other rookie. I don't even remember this other rookie's name because he did not make it. He did not finish the summer. And then my brother was on the other side of the org. This was a huge org. It was South Carolina, maybe 50 Aggies, massive. So first thing that happens when we get there, no host families. First week is in a motel, 100%, just rocking it. Not cool. Had no money. And my first 2 days zeroed out. And like, it wasn't like I didn't know what I was doing. Like I wasn't working. I just like was really bad at like selling. I had no idea how to do it. Super socially awkward. I had like 45, 50 demos both days and didn't sell anybody. Like I was seeing people, I was hustling. And if you go to my Facebook and go all the way down to the bottom, there's probably a picture in there that will show the car I was driving, and that's going to be important. So I had a blue Toyota Corolla, like a 2001 Toyota Corolla that I bought cash just before my senior year of high school. And winter break, driving back to College Station, I ended up crashing it, and it wasn't totaled or anything, but I needed to get a new hood because the first one got all like fucked. And I instead of like actually repairing it because I didn't have any real money, I went with one of my core buddies and we got a hood from the scrapyard. And it's same hood, same car, but it was silver.
Total book car. Total book car, bro.
Toyota Corolla.
That is a
silver hood and Texas plates in South Carolina.
Not sketchy at all.
Not sketchy at all. No, and they had me in the country too. It was the best.
Brutal.
Brutal. So we start that. Now I actually ended up finding our first host family, and this lady, her name was Miss King K. Like Kay King, and I met her at a church. And she'd hosted exchange students before. And so she agreed to take us on. And she was like 81. She was like old. But she was still like kind of getting around. But like she wasn't physically 81, but she was like there was something missing up here. For a few reasons. One, she had this little doll that she kept in one of the bedrooms that she would dress with her daughter's old baby clothes. So it would like look different all the time. We used that to freak out my roommate Travis all the time. And he was a big dude. He was like 6'8", 6'9", like good old boy, cornbread fed. And he talks like this. And we would move the doll around and fuck with him. We thought it was the funniest thing, but it was kind of creepy. And then she had a 21-year-old cat named Lassie, as in the dog. And then she had a daughter who lived in the town. And her daughter had a pet alligator that was like in a cage in the second floor of her house. Like just a lot of like,
what a place,
weirdness. Yeah, but we
South Carolina, baby.
We were knocking on doors, so like it was just a place to sleep. Like legitimately, if you ever hosted, you understand. Like we're in, sleep, eat, wake up, leave. Like we're just not there. So it was fine. And then after about 2 weeks, she just couldn't keep up with like the hustle and bustle. I don't think she understood what she was necessarily signing up for. I think she thought she was getting friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like those like foreign exchange students, like don't know their way around, like just trying to like. I think she was looking for that, and so she ended up asking us to leave, and we almost didn't have another HQ, but we our student leader found one. And it was this young married couple, no kids. Dad was in the Air Force, but he was kind of like a IT guy. What is this? Are you? Oh yeah, there's the car. Yeah.
Bruh, this is the book cars of book cars. What the
Oh,
fuck?
dude, no, another story on that. The hood. I was driving down the highway one morning to the breakfast spot, and the hood flew up into the hole. Like I could only see through the crack in the bottom of the hood. And I pulled over and I like latched it down with like wire. Yeah, it was fucked, dude.
Just rough.
Yeah. College cars. So we get in this new host family. The wife definitely wears the pants. Like she's bossing this dude around. He's in the Air Force, like in Intel, but he's definitely like beta male. The wife works at like a shoe store, and like neither one of them take care of themselves at all. It was the weirdest host situation. So their AC upstairs had blown out, right? And this is South Carolina, middle of summer. So they sleep in the living room, right, where all the AC is. And we were able to use the upstairs, like our student leader, Jordan, he was in the master bedroom. And then Travis was in like the office room that had a couch. And I was in like the guest bedroom. And they had these two really ugly pugs, just disgusting. And then they had this cat named Rusty. And Rusty was adorable. He was like a dog of a cat. Like he just like wanted love and affection. He was awesome. So we start living in this HQ. And everything's like going pretty well. And then, okay, this is what happened first. Okay, so there was this rumor that got started on Facebook. I don't know if you ever heard about it. Summer of 2017, all the book kids in South Carolina got like the worst PR storm the company had ever seen. You heard about this?
You guys were stealing kids or whatever, yeah?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, but that's like every summer though. We've had that summer.
Not like this.
I mean, I think I've heard a couple of stories from that next summer after I was done. Yeah, it was pretty bad that summer. But what happened? So
actually, one of my friends, Andrew Herwald, right? He's the one who got the first accusation. This is like where it all blew up. So this guy was a sophomore microeconomics student at Texas A&M, and at the time was the president of Texas A&M's wrestling team. Like not the club, the team, right? Sad thing for this guy, Andrew Herwald, you can pull him up. He's prematurely bald. So he was like 19, 20 at the time. Looked like he was like 30. No.
Already bad start. Oh,
yeah,
no.
Right? This mom didn't even answer the door. Just like took a picture of him through his blinds, him, his car, everything, and wrote this post on Facebook essentially saying that, you know, there's this whole organization of students saying they're from Texas A&M all across the entire state of South Carolina.
Oh,
like
no.
She outed everybody all across the state saying that they're selling children's books. And then she cited an article about how the door-to-door industry is like such a huge component of child trafficking. And she was like writing this like very blue-blooded kind of, I'm trying to help the community, but she didn't even talk to Andrew. She never even had.
I'm Batman.
Yeah. She was like, just everyone needs to be safe. And unlucky for us, she had Facebook clout. Within like that post was put up Wednesday, week 3 of the summer. Wednesday, week 3 at like 9 a.m. It had over 1 million shares by noon.
1 million?
Dude, it got so bad that Trey Campbell and Ryan Davis called Andrew Herwald and told him to go home for the day. Like they were worried that someone was going to get lynched.
Book kids in South Carolina.
If you go back to that Facebook page, all the way at the bottom, there's a picture of a news article that
Yeah, police say, I saw that earlier. It's like police say books
So
are
we
legit
had to
right
do
here.
the most like social media attacks that we could possibly do. It got out of hand.
Residents may be seeing people going door to door in their neighborhoods trying to sell them items, and local police enforcement won't want people to panic. Captain Abdullah with the Aiken County Sheriff's Office said the department recently received a large number of calls about the group of people who've been soliciting throughout all of Aiken County. The complaints involved people aggressively peddling books. Oh, these people didn't know the buying atmosphere. We got a lot of complaints about these folks coming up residents' doors trying to sell books. This caused some concerns, so we want to find out what's going on. If anyone comes across these guys, don't worry. Ask them for their paperwork. If they have their paperwork, then they're legit. If they do not, then you can contact the police. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So this is how you guys are trying to put out the fire. But you have a million shares. I'm trying to find this post by this lady.
I think that training them got them to take it down because it was slander. So
right.
They had like
and we could have sued her. Yeah.
Yeah. So they got her to take it down. Like, obviously, Trey Campbell's not going to try and sue anybody, but if he has to like bluff the threat, like he's going to do it to keep us safe. Like he has been amazing for PR. But anyway, so this post goes up at 9 a.m., right? Andrew Herwald is working 350 miles away from me on the other side of the state. Okay.
Jesus.
At about noon or 1, I meet this family called the Turners, right? And it's Edgefield, South Carolina is the town I was working in. It's kind of like a little rural area outside of Aiken. And where I was working was dirt roads, and everyone had about, acre to 3 acres, usually double wides or, not formal brick houses, but like still nice places. Like their money was in their land. It wasn't like they weren't poor. They were just hick. Right. And so
how y'all doing? Ting.
Exactly. And I was fitting right on in. I was a good old Texas boy. I threw on that Southern charm, and I was sitting down with all the grannies and the moms and talking about how school's important. You need to learn how to read
you are.
arithmetics.
yeah, you were.
But I met this family, and I just spoke to the mom and the daughter. Daughter was, I'll never forget this. It's burned in my head. Daughter's name was Angel, 7th grade, blue hair, bad at math. Right. I get through the whole sit down, get to the spouse objection. I asked the mom, well, if I could show you something that's going to help out with math, make that a lot easier. Is that something you'd make the decision on getting today or not? Or would you want to be doing that with your spouse? And she's like, no, my other wife would want to be involved. And I was like, all right, cool. Is she here? And she's like, yeah, but she's asleep. She works second shift. So she's just about to get up and go to work. Right. And at that point, it'd been 3 weeks into the summer. I knew second shift in that town ended at like 8:30. So I was like, all right, cool. I got a night appointment. I was like, great. You mind if I stop by 8:39? Like, perfect. Like, I'll set this up. And I had another night appointment right down the street with another family I sat down just before that, the Smiths. So I had 2 appointments on that street. I had already had like 2 small sales for the day. One was to like grandparents. It was like a set of Ask Me's. Another one was like, a math book or whatever. And then from that sit down till about 7 o'clock, it was the weirdest day. It was surreal. Like I was getting no responses in comparison, or people were acting strange, or like you were hearing crazy things on the radio. Like it just felt off. And in my head, I'm like, what?
HBHers?
Maybe, but it was more like I was just getting appointments instead of sit downs. Like people would tell me to come back later. Right. And I was like, all right, that's fine. Like I planned all this turf I was going to work through. And then I was like, I have enough gravy. Like, I'll just go do my gravy. Right. So I pulled back around and I'm headed back to their house. Angel and her parents, the Turners. Headed back to their house. And my first red flag was I was kind of like, I had blinders on. You remember those first summer blinders? Where you're like,
jamming.
Everything's a problem. So if I don't pay attention to it and I just go knock on the next port, I'll be okay. Right? Because I wasn't kicking ass in books yet. Like my first week I had maybe 13 units, and then I had 37. And then that week I got 78. But everyone else was a lot better at me in my org than I was in the very beginning. So I was just trying to outwork everybody. I was trying to figure it out.
They were jamming. Everyone else is jamming. You're right here, like putting it together.
Yeah, I got to figure it out. I was learning. I had a very slow learning curve. But anyway, I pull up to the stop sign to turn right onto their street that has those 2 appointments I'm going to. As I'm pulling up to it, I see this huge lifted truck. Like this thing has got to be like 2 feet off the ground, like big tires. And this guy is like eyeballing me out the window. Like his whole body is out the window. He's looking down on me. And he's like, "Hey, where are you going?" And I had those blinders on. I'm going to be transparent and honest and tell everybody exactly what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I was like, going to the Turners right down here. Gonna go sell them some books. And he like said, okay, right? And it felt a little bit odd, but at the same time, I didn't make a huge remark on it because I definitely understand if I'm driving on like dirt roads and I have this beat up car from Texas, you know, people are probably going to ask me what I'm doing. But if I tell them, I'm going to be fine. You know, that was kind of my attitude about it. So I go down to the house and then I'm like halfway down the road, like halfway between the stop sign and the house. And I see his truck kind of like turn around and he's like tailing me. And now I'm starting to get like pricks in the back of my neck. I'm like, this is not necessarily normal. And I pull up to the house and I go up in the driveway and the mom I spoke to earlier is out there. But then there was this random dude there. And I know, I was like, as soon as I saw a dude there, I was so puzzled because I was like, I could have sworn she said her wife. I was like, this isn't who I came back to talk to. Like, I just didn't. It was her and a man. And she said,
right. So you're like, my wife is about to get up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, that's odd, but like could be a neighbor. You know what I mean? But I was like, this isn't who I'm supposed to talk to. You know what I mean? That was my thought. So get out of the car, and it's South Carolina, and I'm a good rookie, so I don't have any AC on. My windows are just all down, you know, just rocking it. And I leave the keys in the car because, like, who's going to steal my car?
Right.
I'm at your house, you know what I mean? So I get out, and, like, I walk up to them, and they're not really, like, making eye contact with me. So I just go, like, hey, Mrs. Turner, like, is everything okay? And she says the most eerie thing ever. She says, it's gonna be. And I'm just like shitting bricks at this point. I'm like, what exactly does that mean? You know, and mind you, I'm 19 years old. I grew up in a suburb in Dallas, Texas, right? And I have seen my fair share of shit, but I am currently in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina.
No, fuck.
And there's just people out there. I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, no. I'm like, what's going on? And they asked me if I have a friend with a silver Charger. Now, I'm a rookie, and that's what Andrew drove, right? But I'm assuming, I don't know about this Facebook post. Nobody's told me, right? They called Andrew. They didn't think it was going to go to the other side of the state. And none of my roommates had a Charger. One of my roommates had like a big silver Tahoe, but no one had a Charger. And I was like, no, I don't think so. Like, do you mean the Tahoe? Like, my roommate Travis has that. And they said like my Facebook page wasn't working and they couldn't like look me up, and they like heard all this stuff. And I was like, look, like I'm just selling books, you know? And then some of the neighbors started to show up, and that's when it like got escalated, because there was this one guy who walked up the driveway and took my keys out of my ignition and put them in his back pocket. And so like I was basically trapped at that point. Like I wasn't going anywhere. There was no way for me to get in the car and drive off. And then the other appointment I had on the street with the Smiths, their dad showed up, and he's got like a bat, something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he had like something in his hands. And he just starts yelling at me. He's like, who the fuck do you think you are? Coming to my house, talking to my kids and my wife while I'm not there. Like, blah, 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 blah. And I was just kind of sitting there like, fuck, who are you? Like, I didn't even know this man. Right? I was like, who are you? And then I'm racking my brain. I'm like, wait, I have another appointment. Are you Mr. Smith? And he's like, goddamn right, I fucking am. And like that, at this point, there's like 8 or 9 people around me. Somebody's got my keys. Somebody's got a weapon. They're all bigger than me. Everyone's mad at me and not believing what I'm doing. So I just sit down, crisscross applesauce in the yard. I take out my school ID, take out my license, my Southwestern ID, take the books out of the bag. And I just sit there and I'm like, look, I'm a college student from Texas A&M, and I'm selling books. And like,
do you have your permit at this point?
Huh?
Do you have your permit or anything from the police?
Yeah, I have it all. Like, I'm legit. They just didn't believe me. They wouldn't
Jesus.
believe me. And I was like, they're like, your Facebook's not working. I'm like, go check it now. Like, what do you mean? Like, what did you use? Because it's open here on my iPad, right? And
Wow.
they call the cops, right? And this is where the story just kind of gets out of hand. They call the cops, and because, like the news article you said, they've been getting calls before. The officer that I meet when she gets there, her name's Officer Jenny. I'd never had an interaction with her in person, but she's heard about me. As soon as she pulls up, bro, she is not on my side. She isn't even a mitigator. She's against me. She goes, I'm sick and tired of hearing your shit. She put me in cuffs and put me in the back of the car. No questions. Like,
Nice.
didn't even feel out the situation or could tell that, like, she was like, oh, they're all against him. He must have done something bad. I'm sitting here like, I don't know why, but I think I'm doing like, where are the kids? Tell me where the kids are. There's not even AC in my car. They wouldn't make it. Like,
Fuck.
So then they're getting all the stories, right? I'm in the back of the cop car. All the other officers are showing up. They're getting the stories from the family. And the family claims that they don't know who I am. They never met me before. They heard about me on Facebook. And I came there and I wouldn't leave. And I refused to leave when I got there. And this is how backwards and fucked up our justice system is in the US. I'm not saying on a whole national scale. I'm talking about the people that we have in power in everyday towns.
Yeah,
Because,
that's really where the power is too. Like the sheriffs and shit.
Because that's who controls that town. Like the real government, like,
it's
upholds
anarchy
the rules. But
right,
there,
it's anarchy in
who
those
knows
towns.
who.
Yeah.
So just because I didn't know anybody and I was from another town, even though I wasn't doing anything wrong, right? Whenever the cops, they told the cops they didn't know who I was and I refused to leave. And I told the cops, look, I already spoke to them. I know their name. And if you say I can look that up, like, fine. But I also know how their kid's doing in school, you know? So I bet I can't look up some kid's fucking grades that I just met. I have an app on my phone that, like, tracks where I've been and can show my time, place here. And I will leave as soon as you let me. But they took my keys, so I can't leave, right? Telling the cops all of this. And they don't believe me at all. They just don't believe me.
Shit, dude. Welcome
right?
to being a
And
minority.
as soon as they stopped believing me, I was kind of like losing my mind. I was so freaked out. I knew, like, I knew nothing, like I knew I did nothing wrong. So I wasn't worried there. But what I was worried is something happening before I could get safe. Like everyone could figure out what the fuck was going on. Right. So I'm sitting in the back of this cop car and I'm having to do self-talk. If anyone who never believes in self-talk, like, self-talk is the only reason I made it through that summer, because I was sitting in the back of that cop car, super uncomfortable, 19 years old, never have run in with the cops before in my life, except maybe a speeding ticket, being, like, essentially convicted of child trafficking. And I just had to sit there and say, I'm a good-looking, hardworking college student from Texas A&M, and I've done nothing wrong. And I repeated that over and over for maybe 15 minutes before the cops took me away.
So then you get arrested and you get taken.
Yeah, and the charges they hit me with aren't even arrestable offenses. What they ended up, I'm not trafficking kids. They can't do anything to something I'm not doing. They don't have proof, right? So they hit me with 2 charges: trespassing and soliciting outside of my permit hours, which were 8 to 8, right? Which technically I wasn't breaking either one of those, because they were the ones keeping me from leaving. And they'd invited me to come back earlier in the day. So technically it wasn't soliciting or trespassing.
Right.
Like, if you tell me to come back, it's not soliciting at that point. Right.
Yeah.
And so they charged me those tickets, but then they still book me and process me. Right. So I go to jail, take the pictures, orange jumpsuit, whole 9 yards.
Where are these pictures?
Huh?
Where are these pictures?
I don't know if they're on Facebook, but I do have this picture of my student leader busting me out.
Send it to me. Oh, I think I have it on here. Is it this one? There's a picture of you and somebody else.
This and Jordan.
I don't know.
That is my student leader getting me out of jail.
That's
Thursday night,
funny,
week 3,
dude.
my first summer.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then since it was a county jail, so they only had the judge in 2 times a day, and the security guards gave Jordan the runaround in the morning on Thursday, so they couldn't get me out till like 6 p.m. on Thursday, and I was good, like nothing happened to me in prison. I played spades. Everyone had weird nicknames. Go to my Facebook pictures. I have to tell you this. This was a side quest I did not know I was going to complete. There was a guy in the jail that I was in who was the father of one of my first customers.
Let's go.
All the way down at the bottom. We're doing a pull-up. I met that kid's dad in jail.
Nice. Also first, let's go.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it was weird. Like they were asking like, what happened, and I was, trying to humanize myself to everybody in there because I was definitely younger than most of the perps.
Yeah, you were fresh meat, baby.
Yeah, so I was just, trying to tell them,
you were fresh ampersand, if you know what I mean.
I was telling them
Do you see that callback? Do you see that callback?
A&M? Yeah, the A&M.
Oh, baby.
Who I knew in the community, and I mentioned the kid Brian, and he goes like he turns around, like gets my attention. He's like, "You talking about this kid?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'm his dad." And I was like, "You be proud of him." And like we just had like a whole conversation there. And then every other Thursday they let the inmates out to play basketball, and I got arrested on every other Wednesday. So even though I was only in there for like a day and a half, I got to play basketball, like the chainmail, and the barbed wire, and everything. Against grown men.
Walk through the valley of the shadow of death. That's playing in the background while you're just shooting hoops with these fucking assholes.
No, it was small as fuck. It was like the size of a kitchen. It was just, it was small, but why not? Awesome. And the story doesn't even end there. So, of course, they towed my car and they impounded it, right? I get out the next day, follow my student leader. We go pick up my car, drive my car about a mile, and then it dies. Apparently, someone who was there between when the car got towed and after I was taken away, they put sugar in my gas tank. So they blew out my fuel pump. And so I was a walker for the next week and a half while I was getting that fixed. A walker in the country, like the type of walker where like you finish a suburb and you got to get a mom to drive you to the next one, or you're going to waste half your day walking to it.
Yep.
So I got that was the next week. And then of course they moved me into another town from the one I was arrested in. I moved from Edgefield to Aiken, and I got a permit there, and it was about $100. And then 4 days into having that permit, I had no complaints. But because they had taken my permit away in Edgefield, and like those two judicial branches like knew each other because Edgefield is a small like rural community off of Aiken, even though I did nothing wrong, they took my permit away and they didn't refund me. I paid like $100, which like doesn't sound like a lot now, but 19-year-old rookie, week 4, like
after that, yeah,
that's all I had. That's everything. They took my permit and they were like, "You can't work." And I was like, "If you get pulled," they were telling me, "If you get pulled over while working, like you're gonna get arrested again." And that was a legitimate fear in my mind, and I did not.
Well, yeah.
It was actually real to me. Instead of being like, "Oh, you could get arrested," it's like, "No, we'll arrest you." I was like, "You already did it. Why?"
What are you gonna hit me with this time?
Yeah. I did not call my mom when I got arrested. By the way, I called Virgie. I got Virgie's number from my phone, and I called her. Thank God she answered because it was a police number, And she's always a South Carolina number.
DSMs answer everything.
She answered the call.
Summer. They're like, I gotta, The only other better person to call was Trey Campbell, which was Brandon Q has a very similar story to this in episode 3, and he went to jail too with the first year who was following him. Similar kind of not stealing kids, but people thought they were stealing stuff, and he called Trey. It's the same, like, "Oh, we'll get you out of there."
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
I called Virgie, and she's like, "Hey, like, who is this?" Right? She knew it was a South Carolina number. I was like, "Hey, Virgie, it's Harrison." He's like, oh, okay. Like, I thought it was one of you guys. Like, what's going on? And I was like, and this is literally what I told her. You can ask her. I think this is the best line I've ever like used. I was like, well, this is going to be a really funny story on Sizzler, but I'm in jail. And then you hear Virgie do her little, like her like nervous, like she's going to laugh. Like,
Yeah.
And she's like trying to like figure out. She already knows about the PR post though, right? So like, yeah, I told her. And then she tells me, of anyone this could have happened to, I'm glad it was you. Which like at the time meant it was like really grateful, but like somebody who didn't understand the perspective there could probably be like, man, she's kind of being a bitch. But it was like the way I was handling it, she was like of anybody to get it this bad, like you're doing a really good job. Because I didn't want to let that family win because I had done nothing wrong. And so my entire motivation for the rest of the summer was just because they said terrible things about me that weren't true doesn't mean I'm going to behave like I'm nothing. Like I will beat you. Like I wanted to leave that town knowing that in my mind I could like just burn it all to the ground as I left.
Right. So what happened? So you go to the next time, you get kicked out. And so then you said there was more to the story with like, because now you still have this thing where there's people that think that you're stealing kids. All y'all.
Yeah. So this keeps going on. So the reason mine was crazy is because how everything piles up, right? So post happens on Wednesday morning. I get arrested in the evening, right? I get out Thursday night, following with Jordan on Friday. Saturday, we get told by our host family that they are getting put on the show Tiny Homes and they're going to sell their house and that we have to move out. Right. And we're like, okay. So now we have to find a new HQ. They gave us a week. So they tell us on Saturday, I just got out of jail. The third rookie who I didn't know his name, who was in our HQ, he quit the night after I got back. Right. And he's like, they're just too mean to me. And nobody in the org except for Jordan and Kishu Zhang and Williams Andrade knew what had happened. They were all keeping on the hush, and I wasn't allowed to talk about it. And I understood that. I didn't want to scare everybody else. But in my mind, when that kid quit, he's like, they're just being too mean. Like, it's because I'm Mexican. I was like, bitch,
boy,
I got arrested. It is not because you're Mexican.
Damn.
Like, grow some tough skin, man. But anyway, so we get told we need a new HQ. And then Sunday, that's when we get the new permits. I go to the next area, right? Or it was like Sunday, Monday, something like that. That's where that picture is, me, Jordan, and Travis, like the really tall guy, just the three of us outside Aiken. That's when we got new permits.
I see.
Then on the same day, Jessica calls Jordan. And this is June 9th. That's when we're out of jail and on the next thing. Then Jordan gets told that Jessica's going into labor early. So he was going to be with us for that week, finding an HQ and getting reset up before he left. And he ended up leaving that Thursday. Right?
Oh, shit.
And then, so we have 4 days to find an HQ. Right. And we're having a hard time already because the PR situation is bad and our student leader is going to be leaving. And then the other rookie, Travis, like great guy. He ended up becoming my big in my fraternity. Love him to death. But he was so off scale. He was whipped by this girl, Ginger, back home. Like he wasn't doing shit. So as a rookie, with everything that had already been going down, I felt the pressure of having to find an HQ all by myself. And I think the only reason I felt that is because I'd found the first one in the first place. So I knew I could do it. So I believed I could. But then once everybody else was kind of leaving and I was like, nobody else is even trying. Like, what am I supposed to do? I can't sell anywhere. Like I lost my permit on the Tuesday, like got it Monday, lost it Tuesday, no place to live by Saturday, student leaders leaving on Thursday, you and an off schedule rookie as a rookie, and you were arrested last week. And it was crazy. I ended up calling Sean Brifo because I've been running on money that I'd already had in my bank account for like the first couple of weeks. And I hadn't deposited any money into my bank account. I had plenty of cash. I had a couple checks, but I was putting all my money towards the company because I wanted a big check. And my card got declined getting gas one morning that week. And that's what broke me, because I had money still, but I had to go to the bank and put it in and then go get gas. And then I was going to be like a couple minutes late to work, and I lost my shit. And I called Sean Brifo and I was crying, and this dude laughed at me. He just like starts cracking up. He's like, this is
fucking Sean
laughing at me. And he's like, Harrison, like, dude, everybody else already called me crying like 2 weeks ago. I was wondering when it was going to be your turn. Like, you took forever to crack. And then he did I called him because I knew him from my recruiting process, but I didn't want anybody in my org to know what was going on, because everyone else was already shit in the bed. You know what I mean? Like, everything around me was falling apart. So I didn't want to talk to them. And then he did the worst thing ever. After I got off the phone with him, he got me to go to work. I got off the phone with him, and he texts Jordan and Kishu, my OL and AOL, and my student leader. He's like, hey, Harrison called me crying this morning. Check up on him. And I'm CC'd in it. He didn't do it behind my back. He's just like, hey, yeah. And I was like, you're an asshole.
But that was a good thing to do, though.
Oh, no. He handled it really well. Honestly, like, Sean Brifo probably saved my summer right there. 100%. And then so when everybody left, like, Jordan had to leave on Thursday and everything. What they ended up doing is they broke up our HQ. Travis went to go work with Baron Morris and some of the Texas Tech guys. And then I moved in with Abram Dominguez, Mason Miller, and Sean Brifo. And I kicked out this other kid who just was off schedule. But that summer was absolutely insane, because I had all this stuff happen. And then my first week in Columbia, South Carolina, they put me in military suburbs on the naval base. And they said, you've got 5 weeks of the summer, just go straight to the money, right? I got 6 clients every single day that week, 6 for 6, 36. And the best amount of clients I'd had in a week before that was 15.
Boom.
So just I had no idea what was going on. And that actually made my second summer really hard, because I got worried that it was definitely the turf. I was like,
it is though.
Huh?
It is the turf. People like to say it's not, but it is a turf.
I think that there's better turf and worse turf, but I think that everybody's performance matters the most. Performance and effort comes before turf, because anyone who's amazing and working hard in terrible turf will do better than somebody who's not working in great turf.
Yes and no. I think that's the second aspect. And we could disagree on this, that's fine. But the first aspect for me is, if you know how to, somehow you have comfortability in a specific amount of turf, you're going to do better than even the guy outworking you.
Oh yeah, no, sure. You definitely have to fit yourself.
If you're from the country and you're selling in the country, you just kind of know that vibe. Or maybe opposite. Maybe it's something because you don't know. Maybe you're from the country, but we're selling in the suburbs better because it's uncomfortable, so it's new, so you don't know what you're doing. Regardless of why it is, there's a specific kind of turf that everybody kind of specializes at, and then there's other turfs that you're like, yeah, I can sell in that. But it's the same thing as when we say I'm better at when people are following than when they're not, or backwards.
Exactly.
It just kind of depends on each person. But
it's how you play the game. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So
you
turf doesn't
how to feed yourself.
Right, but turf doesn't matter if you know how to work every kind of turf. That's when it really doesn't matter. That's why the people who are freaks, like your Matt Atchisons and your your Peter Petkoffs or whatever, it's they're selling everywhere, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say Peter Petkoff's a freak and that he can sell everywhere. He's sold the same town 3 years ago.
Oh, actually, just kidding then. That's exactly what, I said that, and then I thought back to Europeans. So Darta Salita was on the show. She was the number one rookie not rookie. She was a number one dealer that same summer. In 2017.
Yeah.
And she was on the show in June, and she sold only exclusively in Amish country. She could even sell Advantages sets because nobody would buy them. Cool. Yeah. And she still outsold everyone else, right? Because she just found a way, and she talked about this on the show. She's like, I found a way to work that turf, and then it just works. And then they always just sent me to Amish territory. And since nobody really worked Amish territory, I was crushing it because I knew I found the key. That's my point. You could take Peter Petkoff and put him in Amish country, see if he sells 30,000 units.
Exactly.
Maybe he might be good enough to figure it out, but
Savannah Dillinger did the same thing our second summer. She was maybe a 200, 300 unit producer on average each week. And then she found this little Amish country, and she was just as
just clicks.
homegrown as you could possibly be homeschool. Like she was way out there. Love her to death, but definitely just like would fit in with that crowd more and like understand that. And she went from selling 200-300 units a week to hitting chairman's like 3 weeks in a row. Just
that's what I mean. There's certain turf for like, again, for some people it doesn't matter, for some people it does, and usually it's just if you find a way to sell that particular turf for whatever reason, you found a way, whether it's similar to what you grew up in. Dude, I actually got good at both, but I was just so off schedule afterwards because I was so out of it. My first summer I sold in territory that was like all clustered suburbs, and then I sold in like country that was a mile away each house, and I hit PC in both kinds of turfs. To me, the key was when you're selling out in the middle of nowhere, you want to drop packages, or excuse me, not packages. You want to drop, you want to let them shop. That's what I found out for me personally. That's how it works. So like, because what happens is in the country, everybody knows each other, like relatively speaking. And so what ends up happening is like you let them shop, but then somebody, because you're letting them shop for whatever set that they want to pick, then they usually end up picking a pretty big set. So then what happens is you get to the next house and they're like, you can shop whatever you want. But then you say, but the tailors, they bought this, and that because Megan's good at math. And then, Sean was kind of struggling with chemistry. So they got the chemistry book. And so you can like paint that picture a lot easier of why they picked that package. Yeah. And so then they go, oh, we should just buy for whatever makes sense for our kids. Well, if you did a good job in the demo, which you probably should because you're in the country, then everything makes sense. And so then they would just like buy everything. And so like I would have, like when I hit PC, I never hit PC on more than 30 customers except for one time. But other times it was like 20 customers, 24 customers, or like 500 unit days, weeks, because it was like people were just buying. My average package size that first summer, I think was like 27. Like it was just like,
that's insane, dude.
Yeah, we're just dropping
years
bombs
to get up there.
Yeah. So now then my second summer, I was selling also in really tight packed Boston, outskirts of Boston area. And so it was like, it was the opposite. What is it? Oh, you get the 6 black ones plus the college thing plus that. And it's you got to get all of them. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, how much is it? Because they got money. They live in the city.
Yeah, they have money.
And if they have, and so that same thing as rich, big break, you buy everything. It's like 70 unit packages every time. Just that's what you like. My fourth summer, I didn't sell much, but when I did have a customer, it was platinum every time. It was 70 units. I have pictures on my Facebook account. It's just like, it's all of the books. It's like you get them all because that's what you fucking get. Like, unless you have a high schooler, then you get the CEA with 6. If you have young kids at kindergarten or above, you're getting everything. And if you have less than 5-year-olds, you're just getting the kid set. But like, you make exceptions, right? But overall, it's like, I have a second grader and a high schooler. You're going to get everything.
You're going to get it all, yeah.
Yeah. So again, it just depends. And I loved both. If I had to choose upstate New York's country where it's kind of spread out, but it's still not that spread out.
Yeah.
Bro, gold. The shit is gold.
Well, you worked with Eagle Blitz, right? So you got all that northern turf.
Like, I was in the Force.
You were in the Force. Okay.
Force, yeah. Force always went up to New England.
Nick was Eagle Blitz. Yeah. That's what I was talking to. Okay. You were the Force.
No, both of us were Force. Both of us were Force.
Nick
right, baby. Yeah. Nick was from Omaha.
Warren told me it was Eagle Blitz.
Creighton. Yeah. No, dude, Force was like the Northeast. At least I don't know if it is now, but back then it was. We were like, that was Massachusetts, Vermont, pretty country. And the summers were not that hot. It was
I got to follow Dillon Buck one summer, and that's the only time I think we were in Pennsylvania. And like, honestly, if I got that weather for my summers, I would have sold so much more. Because I was just so uncomfortable all the time. I sold in East Texas, where for a week it was over 115 with 90% humidity in the middle of July, and we were working 80 hours that fucking week. South Carolina was a hurricane year in 2017. We wore swimsuits for a week. Swimsuits, knocking on doors.
Yeah, it's crazy, and that's what I mean. Like it if you know how to work it, like if you know how to work rain. You can really get good at rain. I love when it rained because I'd always get sit downs all day. Just be like, you'd stand like right under the little thing that was like dripping. And you're like, hi, sorry. They're like, come in. I'm like, okay. And you do the demo, like you do the approach inside the house.
In the house,
like,
loved it. Yeah,
like, oh well, yeah, just sit down. Yeah, I'm like, all right.
Awesome.
It's so fun. Yeah, it's so fun because because then you make friends. And so, yeah, but I get, like I said, country's best. Country's best
Yeah,
because
I ended up figuring out the
names are
best
so
bet
good.
for me was like a 3A school. If they had between 120 to 175 in the graduating class in the high school, then it would take pretty much the whole summer to see everybody if you worked it tight.
Right.
But it was still small enough. Like you only have 120 kids in your graduating class, you know of everybody,
Everybody,
right?
dude.
You
You
know
math
of them.
teachers,
You
you
may not
sold to
know them.
teachers, you sold to cops. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody.
There was I worked a town called Southeast Kingston or East Kingston, I think, in it's
No,
right north of the border in Massachusetts and New Hampshire.
oh, I thought you were about to say Tennessee. I sold my second summer was Kingston, Tennessee.
Okay, well, so Southeast Kingston. I check into this town. It was a tiny little fucking town. I can pull up the map and tell you what houses bought, but um, there was a town where I think I asked because you check in and you try to get as much information at the police station. So you should go, hey, I'm going to be selling in this town. Do I need a permit? They're like, no. I'm like, because that's the nice thing about those little tiny small ass towns. They don't need permits. They're like, what? And you're like, yeah. Do we need a permit to like go door to door? And they're like, no. I'm like,
Those
cool.
are awesome. You're like, all right, cool.
Sweet. So just so you know who I am, and then you give them the pre-pros. Like, hey, I'm going to be here for like probably 3 or 4 weeks. I'm knocking on doors, just so you know, right? This is stuff that door to door people don't do, and they should every fucking time.
Yeah,
but
dude, I would always bring the not necessarily the police station, but whoever the dispatch center was. Sometimes it's at the
same.
station,
Sometimes they're different. Sometimes they're different, but in this town, because it's so fucking small,
I'll give them my info, and then that first Sunday before I go to the Sunday meeting, I bring them a box of donuts.
Nice.
They ate. I never got. If I did that any summer, I never got a call for the entire.
That's beautiful. But the point is, so I want to check in, and you start getting pre-pros, right? So I'm like, all right, hey, so how big is the town? And they're like 700 people. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And what's the school name? They're like, is it high school, all K through 12 and 1? They're like, yep, it's all the same families. I'm like, sweet. How many like households have like kids in school? Like how many households? Like, because at this point they know how to do it, so I'm comfortable asking this question, right? I'm like, so of the households here, like, what they're like, we can actually tell you that. So she looks it up, and it was like 40. This is how small the town was. It was 42 households in the entire territory that I'm selling on had children. I was like, sweet, cool. I sold 37 of them. Like it was literally, when I tell you everybody bought in this town, it was cool because I the names, and you start getting the teachers, and you're like, how do you know that they're hard in 10th grade? You're like, fucking, I know. I've been talking to everybody. And so when you got past like number 20, it was stupid. Like everybody knew. I would knock on there like, oh, we were wondering when you're coming. Okay, come in. What did Melissa get? And you're like, fuck. The challenge became getting to them fast enough. It wasn't like whether they would buy or not. It was like, and they were all in a row. Like I would go to the next town because I would get that was a problem with it. Was so small that you could see all of them in one day, or like or by the time you got through all the houses and figured out where they all live, by the time you had all the pre-approach on the town, like it was like a week and a half
because you only had 3 hours in the day where they're actually home.
Yeah. So it was gravy. They were always gravy. So what I would do is I would go to the next town, right? Misfire, right? But then it was awesome because every time I came back from gravy, I'm like, oh, someone's about to buy. Because it would just be so easy. Like, I'm done breaking turf up north. It's 5 o'clock. I know that they're going to be home because that's when they said they were going to be home, or their friends said they were going to be home. They knew who I was. Some people were texting other people like, hey, and I would like grab mom's phones and I'd be like, all right, let me text them for you. Hey, this really awesome, tall, dark, and handsome kid from Nebraska is going to be showing you some awesome books. It's probably going to be the next couple of weeks. We bought everything. Good luck trying to match us. Ha 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 ha. And then picture of me. Something like that every time. I was like, is this something you would say? She's like, oh yeah, or whatever. Or she would like retype that, right? So then when I would show up, be like, oh yeah, Tammy told me you were coming. I'm like, sweet, you must be Jessica. And they're like, yep, come in. Like, sometimes they had food for me. It was so fun when you did it that way, dude. It was so fun. It's just smaller towns are like primo.
Yeah, dude. Primo. I loved it. Yeah. I never liked having to like switch into different towns, because one thing that I was really good at, because my mom was a teacher, is I could plug into everything they were doing in the school system. I knew what questions to ask. I knew who to ask. I'd already had like memorized whatever the state standards were for like what grade was doing what. And I would get in these conversations once it was like my 3rd or 4th summer. This is where it started happening more. But I don't know if you ever had this, like you're sitting down talking about school, mainly with the kid because he's a high schooler, but the mom's like sitting there kind of listening to everything. and you're talking in detail about like the teachers he had before and what was like easy and hard, and like about things that he knows from his buddies that are coming up in the next grade, and be like, oh, did you hear about Mr. Thompson, the chemistry class? Yeah, when he asks you to like do all the substrates and derivatives, and the kid's like nodding along, and the mom's just like has no idea.
Yeah. Roger
like,
Smith.
How do you know this? And you're like,
yes,
it's my job.
I'm a professional, bitch.
I'm
what
a professional. And then they get the platinum because you just did such a good job.
Yeah, they were like, that's the first time the kid's excited to go back to school. And that's the good that Southwestern really does from the client standpoint. But we'll wrap up with this. So Roger Smith, if you remember his advanced sales, but he was talking about it like when he's like, dude, don't use, in the intro, use small words, right? How you doing in school? A's and B's, B's, C's, flunking, right? But when you get to the demo, you're talking about like derivatives, asymptotes, right? Stoichiometry. You're like saying the big words, and the mom and dad are going to be like, what the kids know? And the kid's like, this is my life. Like and you're just clamoring it on. It's pretty badass, man. Yeah. It's pretty badass.
All right. There's three things I wanted to add on to that ponytail.
Yes, please. I was going to say, I was going to ask you more. Is it, what's that?
There's a few other things that were kind of crazy. So we've got the whole setup, having to move, crushed it then, having my car fuel pump out, walking for a week and a half, getting into jail, getting a permit revoked, student leader leaving and going to have a kid, other kid leaving because they thought people were being racist. On top of all of that, about a week before that host family, the Air Force dad and the shoe salesman mom, about a week before they told us about the tiny homes, the dad, we came home one day. Oh my God, we came home one day. And this man was wearing a choker, a skirt, and light up. like very, very much 2017. I'm a chunky guy who wants to be somebody's bitch. Like, and he's like, I just didn't feel comfortable coming out to you guys earlier, but I'm pretty sure, I'm trans, like I'm a chick. And Jordan has a conversation with him. He's like, well, is this like a new thing, or like, has it always been this way? And you just like didn't want to tell us. And he's like, well, it's like pretty new. And so we like take it, and I'm like not against it, because one, I'm just not scared of these people. I'm really not. Like, they were not threatening or imposing. I wasn't like worried about something.
You're talking about your host family.
Yeah, like I wasn't worried about them. I was like, your business is your business. But they were like, I never felt unsafe. It was awkward. Definitely weird, but I never felt unsafe. But Jordan made the best joke ever. He takes us upstairs, and the four of us are still living there at the time. This is before that one roommate left. And Jordan just he like whispers to us so they can't hear. He's like, guys, I think we might need a new host family. I think that we were too hot and we turned him gay. Travis, who's like the most appalled about this, he's very oil family conservative. He's just like, what's going on? Like, he doesn't like, his reality is falling apart for him. That made him so uncomfortable.
I can imagine.
Bro. I loved it. I was like, that's the best joke ever.
Dude, that's crazy. Well, and the thing is, like, and I mean, because we know Jordan and we know your heart. Like, it wasn't because you guys, again, you weren't, and there wasn't necessarily conflict for like what they were. It was just like the fact that you walked in on them with a choker. That's unsafe for a kid. That's like the other guy, right? Like, that's that you got to fucking move. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. No, he's just all dressed up, and it was like that for like the next week, and then they told us about the tiny homes thing.
Tiny homes.
And, then we were like gone the next week. So there's that. There is so to commemorate that, so I'd never forget that story. You know about the I Want to Win bats, right?
The Force has lightsabers, but you want to explain this?
Yeah. So if you have your best 2 weeks, which I've got like 4 bats over here, and I've got a spear because TD did spears this last year. I've almost always hit. I'm pretty sure every year I've hit I Want to Win. Just because of my deliveries, those technically count as your last week. So that's always been awesome. But my first summer, I put Harrison mugshot Knowles on there. And so that was my call sign my first summer from getting arrested was mugshots.
Where's this mugshot? You didn't send it to me.
I don't think I actually have the physical mugshot. Like, it wasn't something that was given to me. I just have and you could probably look it up because it is like somewhat in public record. Like, with working with Legacy, I've had insurance companies who've been like, so what was this about? And like, before they'll like sign me on, they're trying to figure out like what exactly happened. But it was really easy to like get around that since there were misdemeanors. Tim Sukadinov, who's my upline, he just write an indemnification letter being like, I vouch for this guy. He's a good guy. He'll do good business for you. Go on.
Yeah. And Tim was on our show last June, if you guys want to hear that episode.
Yeah, Tim's awesome. He's funny. But what ended up happening is I had to, in the middle of deliveries that summer, I had to go to court to get this all figured out, right? Because like I'd made bail, like Virgie had bailed me out, and Jordan did a really good job negotiating the bail price. They were first trying to hit me with like $900, but he got it down to $300. And then Virgie paid all of it. I didn't have to pay that. I had to pay to repair my car, but since I did nothing wrong, Virgie paid my bail, which is really cool. So I had to go to court to get this all taken care of. And, you know, I'm still a freshman in college. Like, I'm going into my sophomore year at this point. And so I knew like everything crazy had happened whenever I was getting, you know, booked. But I'd had a very successful summer. I had like 300 something clients, like finished 16 out of all the rookies in the company. So I figured when I went back to like get this all closed up, that talking to a legitimate judge and like presenting facts and everything, like I'd be fine. So the judge told me there were two options. There's one, we could go to court, but that would be in like September or August. And I was a sophomore in college. I had to be back for school. And I was like, I'm not coming back to fucking South Carolina. And she's like, or, you know, you could tell your side of everything and like give us the information and then I'll decide right here. And I had like a pretty solid defense. You know, I had this app that tracked that I was there before. The family claimed not to know me, but I'd been there and I'd met them and I knew their names.
Right.
And then they said I wouldn't leave and they had my keys. And then they were like also the evidence of like, my job is to see everybody. And if somebody tells me they're not interested, I'm not going to go back to try to sell them something. So it's a waste of my time because they're not going to buy anything from me. And the fact that they had like told me to come back was the only reason why I went back. I told all of this to the judge and she still found me guilty. So to anybody listening, if you don't want, like if you're having to be in a court that is not your peers, take it to court. Because those people weren't my peers and that judge was not upholding justice. Those cops were not defending truth. This is one of the bigger problems in the government in America is the amount of bullying that goes on in everyday towns just because they have the power. Yeah. Like we're worried about who the president is. It doesn't fucking matter. It matters who, you know, your clerk of court is. Who's the one
I just said that
with permits? Who's your mayor? Who's the chief of police? That matters.
I was just talking about this with someone off the air, but I was like, people think Trump and Biden's a big wreck. Nobody gives a shit. They don't have that much power. They don't have any power. It's the senators and the people in the local governments. That's really the shit show.
Yeah. The Senate's the hardest thing to get bills through. They also have the longest terms. You can be a senator for life.
And then the municipal authorities and governments are fucking brutal too. Sheriffs.
Yeah, well, I think that the thing is like the national government can never pass something that not all local governments would agree with or not fight. Whereas local governments can pass whatever the fuck they want if they have the votes. They can do anything.
Yeah, there's still deeds and stuff in homes and local municipalities and like permits and stuff and zoning laws where like black people can't own a home because it's in the deed. Like from the 1950s, like that's still a thing in places.
Yeah,
look it up. Like that's, you know what I mean? No federal law is going to change that, so it's crazy. So, damn, man, wow, what a wild story. Another a good time I got arrested story. We got a couple of them in the pipeline and in the podcast, and you gotta love them.
Yeah, Virgie told me we've had people arrested before that and after that for like doing things they shouldn't have been doing. Or for like getting accused of like stealing packages and stuff. But they straight up tried to arrest me on child trafficking charges. And Virgie's like, I've never seen this before.
That's crazy.
Meanwhile, my twin is Andrew Herwald's roommate. And he's just having a blast. He's not having anything happen to him.
Oh God! Imagine that your twin also got pulled up, and you were two different. Man, it'd be a real fuck up. After shit. Good thing you guys were separated because
dude, it was really funny.
It's like, yeah, this is the same guy.
No,
a different car.
We look completely different. He looks like my mom's family. I look like my dad's.
So you guys are fraternal. Okay. I
think he's like 5'10", way more like sculpted and like kind of slim. I'm like if you know how you can like take the edge and like pull it out to the side on an image?
Yeah.
It's like a little bit like that. Just
nice.
Yeah. Bigger around, but bigger up tall. So, you know.
Hell yeah, brother.
At least I'm not shorter and fatter.
Wow. What a time. My man. This has been a good time.
Yeah, I'm glad y'all had fun.
Yeah. Did you have a good time? Was it all right?
Oh, yeah, it was a blast. I always love telling that story, and I've told it like enough times, and it's still funny because I actually told that story like 2 or 3 months ago to some Force kids. I don't know if you know Martine Cow and Rachel and Baron and Lucas. They were all hanging out over here. And they were talking book stories, and I told them that story. And we'd worked together for like 4 or 5 years, and none of them knew about it. So I figured, if I tell that story here, then
Martina and Lucas DJ'd my wedding. So yeah.
Oh, really? That's dope.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, I love living next to them. Hopefully, Seth Hood and I are working on getting like a apartment or like a house together. A ton of book guys. So we're talking to Lucas and Martine right now. Just seeing who else is going to be out here.
Seth's the shit. Also, check out Elevate Wellness if you guys want to get in shape.
Yeah, honestly, big props to Elevate Wellness. I did their coaching program for a little while, and it wasn't the right fit for me. But because of the 3 months that I did the coaching program with Zane, and then the 4-month competition, the Sizzler Shred thing that they had beforehand, throughout that and the individual coaching, I learned how to be consistent, what actually mattered with what I was eating. I learned all the different exercises, how to break up the body groups, and I got confident enough to do it all on my own. So coaching may be something that you want year round, maybe something that you really appreciate the accountability for, and that's like worth it to you. Or it could be something that just makes you like way more efficient in the gym, way more confident with what you're doing, lowers injuries. But whatever you do, however long you do it, like you will take a lot of really great things out of that. Like I used to be super, super out of shape, like no muscle. I was a band nerd of a kid and I was fat growing up, but I've never been in better shape than today. And I really appreciate Seth and Zane because I started getting in shape like 2 years ago, but starting last September after the summer, that whole Sizzler Shred and then doing coaching from January to March was exactly what I needed.
Hell yeah. We're going to let them know you said that. So fuck yeah, dude. All right, guys. My name's Andres Gamboa. Thank you so much for being on here and for sharing with us some time. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Catch us next time. We are going to be live on Thursdays and Sundays. Check out some of the people that we have coming up. We are enjoying doing this thing. Hopefully you guys are enjoying listening. Harrison Knowles with me today. My name's Andres Gamboa. We'll catch you guys in the next Ponytails podcast. See you, everybody.